Keshe Foundation, an independent, non-profit, non-religious, space-based organization founded by nuclear engineer Mehran Tavakoli Keshe, is introducing to humanity the science of the universe, plasma science. Keshe Foundation develops universal knowledge and space technologies that provide solutions to major global problems, revolutionizing agriculture, health, energy, transportation, materials, and more. The application of plasma science in the form of specially developed plasma reactors and other devices will give humanity the real freedom to travel in deep space. Plasma science exists throughout the whole universe. It is here and it belongs to you. Our knowledge, research, and development regarding the plasma structure has progressed to the point of enabling everyone to participate in the process. Become a creator and understand the work of the universe for the good of humankind on this planet as well as in space. The use of megravs, nanomaterials, GANs, liquid plasma, field plasma, and other plasma technologies have come as a new dawn for humanity to progress and work in harmony with the universe. Conventional technology applications are wasteful, damaging, and cause pollution to the planet and all living beings. Plasma science provides solutions and improves existing methods and use of resources in all aspects that touch the lives of all beings. Plasma is defined by the Foundation as an entire content of fields which accumulate and create matter and is not defined by its physical characteristics like ionization or temperature. Also, with plasma science, we understand how we can convert matter back to the fields. Quoting from Mr. Keshe, MEGRAV stands for magnetic gravitational, which means plasma absorbs or gives. And every plasma has the both. It has give and it has take. And when they can't find the balance, they distance themselves until they find the balance they can give to the others. That they can receive what they want to receive and give further. Certain atoms and molecules release and absorb magnetic or gravitational fields. Released fields are available to be absorbed by other objects. The Keshe Foundation has developed a way to gather these free-flowing fields from the environment within a resourceful and beneficial new state of transitional matter, which M.T. Keshe named GANs. The first step of the process of the formation of various basic types of GANs is nano-coating metals. This is carried out either chemically by etching, steam coating with sodium hydroxide, or thermally by heating, fire coating by gas burner. During either coating process, gaps between outermost layers of atoms are created. The residual coating is often referred to as nano-coating, defined by the structured layers of nanomaterial, which build up during the creation process of the coating. Nano-coated metal in interaction with other various metal plates in a saltwater solution creates megrav fields. These fields then attract available elements to form a specific GANs, which collects and settles at the bottom of the container. This GANs is formed from independent energized molecules like little suns that can be used in various applications.
The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to medical doctors of any practice and specialty to apply to the Foundation's private weekly medical teaching workshop. This includes medical doctors, dentists, and veterinarians. Scientists of the Keshe Foundation developed different types of plasma therapies and cures that utilize advanced, non-invasive plasma technology. The weekly private medical teaching workshop educates doctors to the plasma science behind the therapies, along with the functionality and operation of revolutionary plasma medical devices. The goal of the private teachings is to add plasma health knowledge to the profound knowledge of medical doctors. The weekly class is broadcast live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central European Time. Presently, the class is only offered in English. However, you are free to bring a translator to the class. If you can't participate in the live broadcast, you can watch them later at your convenience through a private internet portal. Every patient's case that is discussed in the workshop will be kept anonymous and private. This includes catalogued findings and data gained from the analysis of the patient's health issues. Any medical doctor in the world who wants to participate can do so by sending an email to doctors@spaceshipinstitute.org. In your email, please state your willingness to participate in the medical teaching workshop. If you're planning on bringing a translator to the workshop, please state this in your email as well. After we receive your email, we will contact you with the instructions on how to apply to the workshop. As a part of the application process, applicants who apply, including any translators brought into the workshop, will be required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. All applicants will be required to provide proof of their education and ability to practice medicine, and will also be required to pass an extensive security background check before they are granted access to the teaching workshop. Healthful plasma technology is here, now, the use of which is increasing exponentially on a day-to-day basis on every continent. We encourage you to come and learn about this revolutionary technology. Apply today. The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to experienced farmers, agricultural specialists, and researchers to apply to the Foundation's private weekly agriculture teaching workshops. If you fall into one of these categories and are interested in plasma technology integration into agriculture, you're invited to apply. Scientists and agricultural practitioners of the Keshe Foundation continually develop and apply new methods of food and fiber production, soil fertility management, plant and livestock health management, and increased farm productivity using the most advanced plasma technology that is taught at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. In the teaching workshop, you'll learn the science of plasma technology and its applications in the field of agriculture for enhanced and equitable global food production while minimizing costs and external inputs. Practicing farmers and Keshe Foundation scientists will demonstrate their application of plasma technology in agriculture and the ensuing results of such applications, thus deepening and enriching learning for all participants in the private teachings. Participants are encouraged to demonstrate their farming practices in the teaching workshop. The private teachings are broadcast in English live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central European Time. If necessary, you may bring a translator to the workshop. All applications are required to provide proof of their education and professional qualifications, must pass a security background check, and are required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. Translators that attend must also pass a security check and sign the World Peace Treaty. For details on how to join the private teachings in agriculture, send an email to agriculture@kfssi.org stating that you'd like to participate. Include in the email your education and agricultural experience and reasons for your interest in plasma technology. Applicants will be contacted with further instructions and details on the application process.
Welcome everyone to the 175th Knowledge Seekers Workshop of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. It's Thursday, June 8th, 2017, and once again we are honored to have Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation available to talk to us today about the latest happenings in the Keshe Foundation, as well as the latest in the teachings of this plasma technology. Mr. Keshe, are you ready to go at the other end there?
Yes, good morning to you, good day, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to these teachings. As usual, we try to inspire, enlighten, and in a way open new doors of thoughts and understanding. The work of the foundation, as I always say, is to enlighten, and enlightening it comes by sharing. And when we share more, we understand more. One of the biggest problems with understanding the new technology is the prejudices we have when we created about other technologies, that we have to come to understand that all the science of man is one. All of them in one way, shape or another, even though it looks like very far-fetched or very out of line in respect to our understanding. It's just that it means we haven't understood the state and the condition and the principle that the man who put it forward has been thinking. If we stop these prejudices, we can go further. But if we add and we learn that what we learned is addition to what we know, and it has to be on equal balance terms in the science of man, then we progress. We hear a lot about people who now start making different conditions and collaborations, and they're trying to find new solutions through the Keshe Foundation, plasma technology, and the rest. Some of you will face a lot of hurdles, and some of you, the hurdles created is to protect the past, what I call the structure. And in a way, some of it is good, and some of it has to be done the way it has. It's us to understand more, and it's for us to be able to understand what this technology can bring. This week we see a lot of problems, but as I said, as human race, we leave these problems on the shoulder of the organizations we have set up as different ways to handle. We have called, and we see that there is a huge amount of knowledge needs to be shared correctly. And what we are relying on is for you to come to us to say what you understood. And what you understood does not mean it's wrong because it's been mentioned in some teachings. It means maybe what you understood is a new way, it's a different way. It's not necessarily what you do is wrong. None of us is wrong, and this is something which I keep on emphasizing on all the teachings. As there are many stars in the sky, as there are many stars in this galaxy, and in this universe, there are as many solutions and ways. That is why you see every single one of them, because they have become the solution or the outcome of the interaction of the fields in that part of the universe, in that part of the galaxy, and in that part of the solar system. And the same is with the universes. So none of us is wrong. This is the beauty of what we're trying to promote. Nobody is wrong. It's just because you don't get what I get in my solution or in my what I do, because you have to understand the state of mind which I set to achieve and what I thought that will give. It took me over 20 years to sort out the riddle of potassium in what you just work in a simple way as the first stages of your GANs. If you add a little bit of potassium to your caustic, you get the totally different layers of nanomaterial, because very, very small amount, minute amount of the potassium carries a key 40, which is the radioactive materials. And that gives a different condition in the process of creation of nanolayers. The reason being if it's exactly the same as what we use vitamin B, B12 or folic acid, because that allows a more rapid development of layers. When you add the potassium into the, what I call in the caustic, your nano layers has extra energy. So let's say if the layer was like 1 micron big gap between each layer, now because you added that extra energy of the potassium radioactive conditions of K40, now it's 1.1 extra. The gap is bigger, so the performance, the storage is different. These are the things which we have to, by experiment, learn. You find out if you're looking for a high superconductivity material for the transmission of the information, you need, to example, to use 20%, 30% of what the salt you add to the water, just the pure potassium or potassium salt. The layer looks nano layer, but the space gap and the division of the layers instead of being, for example, 40,000 is 60,000. Because you add extra energy, you add the potential of creating new conditions. This is how the universe is created. This is how we have to understand the principle that none of us is wrong. It's what we expect from what we do. I seen, and we had a report, some of the teachings, as I mentioned before, people just make nanomaterial, they put a caustic and they make a nanomaterial, and they take the plate or they take the whatever they nano coated and they put it in the salt water and they start producing CO2 or zinc oxide or whatever. This is wrong. But it's not wrong because if you're expecting to do something else with it. But if you're going to use the CO2 or gas of the CO2 or whatever, you have to wash the plate 2-3 times. Make sure there is no caustic carried into the, what do you call it, into your CO2 box. Because when you don't understand and you do that, caustic is a problem. In the water, even though you put the salt in, now to produce gases, then you create a condition of toxicity because you add more of oxygen of the what you call sodium with the oxygen and hydrogen into the material you're trying to create a gas of. So a little wash creates a different condition. But you have to do this. These are the things which we are learning and we pass on gradually. When you're making a gas of a gas, did you use caustic in one of the gases and you didn't use in other gas? And then you find out the, what I call the new gas of the creation of the gases, it'll be totally different if it was both washed or both were, what you call, with a caustic on the plate. Nobody in this technology is wrong. It's what you look for, the outcome, which decides you have to change the procedure or not. These are the little technical details which we have to learn, and now that we have gathered so much information about the whole technology, is what we need to understand more and more. One of the things which you have to understand when you're dealing with, when you're going into production, I hear a lot of people have started selling gas water to doctors. And the doctors, especially alternative doctors, see a lot of results with their patients. If you're doing this, first of all, you need certification. Because we will not back it, because you need to be certified that the material produced is consistent and is the same. And then secondly, when you do this, when you get your certification, you have to understand that the whole structure has to be correct, how you produce it. As I said, in the next few years, this technology will be more than the computers, because computers only is the information. This technology touches energy, space, food, agriculture. And the problem with it is so simple. Understand what you're doing, understand the process, then you can run, you can do all sorts of things. Most of you are much more clever than me, and you can produce much better things. A different diversion, different things, because each one of us is unique in the knowledge. And that uniqueness brings us the uniqueness of what we bring out. Every single one of the people who try the gas, you're like your flowers. You have your own beauty, but when we put the whole thing together, all the knowledge of all the Keshe Foundation members around the world, it becomes a beautiful bouquet of knowledge. None of us is wrong, but when you do test, when you make things, write down what you did. Write down exactly how you did it. That when somebody replicated, understand, I washed the plate, I didn't wash the plate, I washed one side of the plate. I put two plates together, I rub one side of the nano coating of the plate down to become diamond structure, so I changed the condition. Write it down that we can follow. Then they don't see what is wrong. They can't tell you, you made a mistake, because you haven't made a mistake. You created a condition of yourself, what you wanted. This is the beauty of this technology. We see on the screen, these are the shots from the, what I call the shuttles, what you call from the space lab or whatever telescopes we have in the space. Just look how they shine. Each one of these stars you see, each one of these lights you see, is a uniqueness of it. They are not created. Look at the number of the stars on the screen. Each one of them is created because of the condition they were at the time of the creation. When you see a star in a galaxy, when you see a planet, when you see a moon, when you see a meteoroid, when you see an asteroid, each one of these has been created on the specific gravitational magnetic field strength, what you call the salt. As we have salt in the body of the man for different organs, for the what I call condensation. What is a salt? A salt is bringing together. We call it alkalineness. We call it what has been given in to take out a new condition. What in our body, a specific salt combination leads to creation of kidney. A specific salt condition leads to the creation of pancreas. A specific salt condition leads to creation of what we call the lung, the heart, or whatever. So in space there is no difference. It means salt in the scientific plasmatic field means condition of gravitational field concentration. Which means that at that point these fields have been coming together of the same strength. Then when you look at the sky, when you see a star, this means a magnetic plasmatic salt condition, or what we call gravitational field attraction, has been created that has led to that star. And there's so many of them. We have to understand the principle. We have to understand the fundamental knowledge. Then we can play with anything we like. When you see a light like what we see, it means there is a acidic condition or giving or magnetical. It's so much energy that it has to come out, that with it can bring the what we call pulling, gravitational, or alkalineness. We have chosen different words for the same property and we got confused. In the world of physics, we call it gravitational. In the world of chemistry, we call it alkalineness. It's the same word, it's the same knowledge, it's the same principle. It's the beauty of the knowledge. Man has gathered knowledge over thousands of years from different cultures, and now they brought the culture together. We speak the language, but we understand one thing. In principle, the knowledge in chemistry, in physics, whatever, they're all the same. In choosing the wrong words or different words has led us to the confusion in the brain of the man. So when you see the stardust, even a speck of a dust, it means in that point where the matter appeared, it is the condition of a specific gravitational field force, or alkalineness we call it. Then you see the science becomes very interesting. As I said, we have chosen many words for the same property. Now that we gather the knowledge together and all of us brings our own beauty to the table of the knowledge of the universe and mankind, we'll find that none of us is wrong. But we have to understand how we achieve this point, how we come to what we come, the process, and we have seen it in past few weeks, as I explained before. One of our colleagues in Germany tested the water, said this is extremely important and his problem with the CO2, and when we asked him the question, he forgot to wash the plate. He was carrying too much caustic in his plate. And when he washed it, the results are exactly somebody else has done it washing. Even when you wash your plate on one side and you don't wash the other, you create a different condition. When you drop your plate on the floor and you pick it up and you put it in there, now you have created a new condition. Your gases are not the same as the gases you would have created if the condition, the plate was not falling on the floor. You have created a new impact. These are the things which we have to learn. And then we don't see all this mayhem which has been going through the foundation, people who are testing different things. It's wrong because Mr. Cash said so. I give you one example. It's for you to bring the other beauties on the table. We suggest the way we reach the conditions. It's important for a lot of you to understand what you're doing. When you explain to somebody, I make a gas water, what is the gas water? What is the plasmatic gas? Or what is the liquid plasma? It's all the same word for the same thing. But what's the principle behind it? How does it work? How can I explain to somebody, I have a liquid gas plasma of CO2? How did you make it? Very simple. The knowledge is simple. You can explain to them, as I've said before, you get these water purification system, it's got a tube, it's got different kind of layers of sand, charcoal, whatever, and the water goes through it, and you buy a purified water, you filter it. Do the same thing, put the gas in the bottle, shake it, and see what happens. It's not that the gas is going down, it's the water has to go through the gap space, gravitational magnetic field spacing, the gravitational magnetic positioning, what we call MAGRA positioning, between the gases, which allows certain water at a certain strength to go through it. So as it goes through it, we purify the strength. In the filters of matter, we purify the impurities of whatever. In the filter of the plasmatic gas condition, when you shake it, we unify, we modify everything to a specific strength. If it's more, it gives to the gas. If it's short, it reaches. So the water you receive above the gas is mono-energetic. That's why it's so powerful. So you explain to people, we create filters of magnetic field strength. And then they understand. That's what gas water is. Unification, simply mono-energetic magnetic gravitational field strength of the water. So it's very easy. You purify, now we have a new purifier offered to the humanity. Purify by strength, not by matter content. When you put it through the chalk and the sand, you take certain size materials which are not supposed to be in it, and you get stuck in between the sand or the charcoal, you get pure water at the end, you drink it. With us, with the new plasma technology, what you call the gas water or plasmatic water, is that now, if you understood the principle of the physics, that everything is magnetic field positioned, then you can explain it. They understand it. Always carry two surround circle magnets. Can I share a screen, please? I need to share a screen.
You should be able to go ahead there, Mr.
Okay.
Kesh.
Okay, I'll go on it. I'll go whiteboard, share. This is what we have to understand, which is the beauty of it. If we take this up, in our position, we always said the space is gravitational magnetic, and now you have a plasma, two magnets. Plasmas are two magnets. This space gap here is when the water goes of the certain strength. Let me change the color that you can see it. When the water goes of the certain strength, that creates that gap of strength which can go through. So when it comes out of here, the water is this big. When it comes out of here, it's this strength. It's the strength or the magnitude. So now this is your CO2. But if you go back and now put the gas of, let's say, zinc oxide. The zinc oxide is yellow, you don't see it. I choose another color. Okay, this is the zinc oxide. So then zinc oxide, because of its strength, the gap is slightly different. So if you look, you have this. And the water which you put through is got this strength. And the water now, which goes through, it comes in, the strength is this, but before has a bigger dimension or a smaller. But when it comes out of here, it's mono. And that's why you have a power. That's why your gas liquid can target a specific strength. Those of you who make different time, you make different gases of CO2, keep them separate. Or if you mix them together, you have a mixture of the strength, and the water you drink is totally different than if you had individually each one of them. We have to understand the knowledge. We have to understand the principle of knowledge. We have to understand what we do. So when somebody tells you, you have come up with a homeopathic or an alternative, no, we haven't. We have brought out, we added to the knowledge of the man that now we create magnetic gravitational field plasma. For people to understand, when I explain, it's very easy. Because I have three stupid things in front of me. It says, I'm a nuclear physicist. They immediately say, oh, he knows something. Otherwise, he doesn't speak. I sometimes thank the soul of my professors in the university. I remember when I went to them after my second year, I said, you know, I'm not going to stand this hypocrisy. I'm not going to finish my degree because this is stupid. What I read here, what you teach me is not going. And bless his soul, Professor Leslie told me, Mehran, just get that 3 words BSc in front of your name. They listen in the future, then you can prove it. And now I understand it, how wise the man was. But I have to teach you, I have to explain it that you understand what I understand. You're all nuclear physicists now. Now you're all plasmatic physicists. The doctors, the PhDs, the philosophers of science have got a huge problem on their hand. Because now they have to accept that new knowledge has arrived to humanity. And this is what they call plasma technology. And those who prey on the ignorance of the man, they say there is something wrong with it. They don't say it's additional to the knowledge, because then their knowledge is useless. What they are trying to destroy is in fact the progress of the man in the knowledge of the science of creation. All those who say Keshe Foundation is fake and the rest, who are they? What are they? When they couldn't support that is fake, they went for character assassination. Which each one of us, threatening our children and the rest. Because they're the angels of death. The angels of death of a knowledge. That's all they are. Ignore them. Pray for them. Give from your soul to them. When you make a gans, say this goes to the soul of the guy who sold that rubbish. Because then they elevate their soul. This is us who have to understand. We have a new tool, not like the filter of the water which you buy in the shop that it cleans and clarifies the matter state, but it can help the soul of the man too. This is the problem. This is what is this technology about. How we can use it, not to purify the water for the man, that is strengthen the soul of the man or the physicality of the man, but through it we can elevate the soul of another man. This is what we need. This is what the humanity showed. Make a zinc, and when you make it, put the intention of love to it. You'll find out it looks, the strength tastes different than when you were angry and you made the zinc oxide, or when you were shouting at your child, stop, I'm making something. You have carried your intention. Make ganses with the love of the mankind, and then feed the mankind with it. You expand the world of universe of man. Because now you have created that gap. What you call here now is a gap of love, unity and caring. Because this is what man never understood. Love has a strength. Caring has a strength. We haven't created these words just for it. If I don't care, I pass a chalice on the floor, a man is hungry, a woman has fallen down, I just go. But when I care, it means I react, I bend, I use my energy to help a man up, to feed the hunger. So in that strength, when you add your soul to it, you increase the soul of the whole humanity for the one who drinks it. I was explaining this once. It's very much like, you know, they say when you take a heart transplant from another man, you carry the character of that man with you when you receive the heart. It's true. Now, the heart was made of gans, and it carried the emotion of where it came from. It's the same. Now you create the gangs of emotion of the man in a much simpler way than putting all the physicality of the heart muscle. You carry the essence of it, which is the zinc, which is the emotion of the man. We have to understand the extent, how far we have gone into changing the whole structure of humanity. It said, give a fish to a man, you have always to feed him. Teach him to fish, and he will save and serve his life. Do the same with your ganses. Explain to the people, teach them, and then they will do themselves. Because then you don't need to feed the humanity. These things which we do in what I call hundreds of thousands and millions of us with CO2 is for the man in the jungles of Amazon. Because he cannot make it. It's our job to elevate his soul. And when we make so much ganses of zinc with the intention of peace, one in South America, one in China, one in Asia, one in Europe, because he's the cross section of it and so much of it, we elevate the soul of the man in Amazon who's in the jungle, and he suddenly understands war. This is the beauty of this technology. This is what we have to understand. It's not to carry anymore a box of food for hunger of a man in depth of Amazon or taking the clothes. But this way you elevate his soul and he gathers the knowledge to understand the knowledge of universe. Irrespective of clothes, we have given him a shortcut where the rest of humanity has spent thousands of years to learn how to make clothes. We elevate his soul. We elevate his emotion. And this is the beauty of this technology. We don't need to carry it to give it. We add to it and it reaches. This is what I was trying to explain to the Mojans yesterday in the teaching class. You have to learn how to extend your soul. How you can give, and by giving, you find you receive more. You find that you, by interacting the emotions and the soul of yourself, you dictate the size of the spaceship. This is the beauty which we have to understand, and we have to literally comprehend what it means. The depth of it, the reality of it, and what it does and what it doesn't do. How much we have come to be physical, that with this system we find a solution. And the solution is, when we see a lot of Chinese from different organizations of Keshe Foundation are going around China and pouring CO2 with love and care that he elevates the fish and the man. This is the reality of it. It's not the water which is going there, it's the emotion of the feeling in the water that elevates the whole of the animal kingdom, plus the man and the tree, because from that water a fish will drink. From that water a plant will receive energy. This is what I said in all my teachings. This technology will affect everything on this planet. And now we see it. Because for the first time a rain falls as a rain, but now we dictate the water we put in the ocean has carried the emotion of peace, the love and the care. I gave you an example what Dutch boys are doing in Holland by using the mushroom, and it spreading in the area. Now you understand the same applies when you put the love of man in the gans of CO2. A lot of people tell me you're dealing in a harsh way with people who are around the Keshe Foundation. No, because there is very simple. You do not intrude in another man's life. This is the option. If he wants, he can, but you cannot do. And we see a lot of abuse in that way. So we clean up. In so many ways we need to clean up, because this way, even though it's harsh, but in reality it stops a lot of things to be created in the future that we have to solve in the future. We don't allow it to get root, because we see what we are doing is for love of mankind and giving equal to each. This is what it has to be. This is how we learn. This is how the technology allows us. It gives us that opportunity to reach every soul. In so many ways, I go back to the writing of Baha'u'llah Blessed's name. What he said was very simple. He says, the level of understanding of the man and the position of the soul of the man at this time has reached the level of the Prophet of the past. Because the Prophet of the past touched the soul of the man. And now, with the example of what I showed you, what I explained to you, with your CO2 in the water, or what you produce as a gas of the plasma of zinc, you touch the soul of another man. It doesn't mean that you make everybody and you become a new prophet. It means that now the mankind can reach to elevate the soul of another. That's what it means, reaching the state of the other prophets of the God. It means with a new knowledge, we have the strength to elevate the soul of another. And this is the attributes of the prophets of the God. Because they touch the soul of the man. Can you hear me, Rick? So now you understand how deep this knowledge is going to touch us. How deep this new information dictates the condition of the change for the whole of the planet. When you put water of the ganses on the seas, in the oceans, in the fountains, you add zinc oxide into it. We need more zinc oxide with a little bit of CO2, not just the CO2. Because the emotion of the man has risen to that point. This is what they don't understand. They say they're poisoning the waters. We are adding to the soul of the man, because it's purity of the water which adds to the soul of the man. Because we add on top of it. Do not be afraid of criticism. Criticism is what allows one to understand where he's going wrong and what it needs to be corrected. And if it is correct, then you have to explain to yourself what I did is correct. And in a way, when you get assaults and insults or whatever, it means for you to judge yourself. And if you're convinced correctly, not by prejudice, that what you're doing is for the benefit of whatever you do, what your target is, then by analyzing is added to your knowledge, because you had to analyze yes or no. We have seen in the past few weeks, with the start of the Keshe Foundation in Accra, there is a huge movement around the Keshe Foundation. Governments are asking, they want to be part of it. We got to understand, a lot of us carried a lot of teaching purely from our heart. Rick and the others, we taught for 3.5 years. Many people came around. One man was so devoted, he carried on with the work. Through Caroline, who came another way to the foundation, through me or whatever, he came here to serve his life here in Ghana, and that man has changed the whole structure of a nation. A native from the nation, but with the intention of change the humanity, not just its nation. And then you see the love of it is spreading across the country. And now it's spreading across the nations of the world. How come they've gone into the spaceship program and we're still trying to shove and push a rocket up? One day people understand the love which came to Ghana, not the spaceship institute which is built in Ghana, which has brought the difference. This is exactly the way you put waters in the oceans. Speak, go to the agricultural teachings and understand how you can elevate the soul of the plants. Then when they reach to the same point as the man, this planet will have a different things. The plants understand they can feed the man without the man harming them through the fields, but the man hasn't learned to tune into it. This way we bring the balance, because we offer our side to their side. We've been ignorant of their existence because we consume them and we abuse them. But now we understand we don't need to touch, but we can receive what they produce. A new knowledge will come. Some of you will start that you will put a plant exactly as you do with the plates in the environment of the salt of the water, without damaging the plant, and they'll give you what you need from it according to what it is it has and what is the need of you. Because now the energy and the fields of it is equal to the balance of its own amino acid plus the amino acid on the top. So the gas you produce is the strength that he would have given you. Let's say if you eat a plant which is good with full of vitamin C, then the vitamin C will be in there, but equal, the same as the natural way. You won't get fat and you won't have any deposits of it, because it's a natural vitamin C. The way it's come from the plant. As all of you know, when you eat vitamins or minerals or whatever as tablets, as matter state conversion, it stays in the body because it hasn't got a filter of the amino acid of what it needs. But when you eat a fruit which has the same vitamin, the same minerals in it, the body only holds on to what it needs and gets rid of the rest. That's why we don't have problems when it, the food, natural food, because it's a natural process. It's a gravitational magnetic field positioning. If it matches, it stays. If it's not, it's too big, it gets rejected. If it's too small, it gets rejected. But when you put a matter state, it's totally different. It's fixed and saturated, and it has to be stored. In a way, it's addition forced into the body. When you understand this, then you can understand how a new production of gases through use and collaboration and cooperation of the plants without damaging them will become part of the process. Don't forget the layers of leaves of a plant, a tree, everything is nanomaterial, is in a plasmatic condition. You can use, as you put a zinc plate, you can put a leaf of a tree, leaf of a herb inside it and just connect it to, without damaging it, to a plate that it gets balance with. If you get it right and you get your spacing right, you will get what's in the leaf in the gans of the water. You haven't harmed it. You receive all of it. A lot of you say, oh, we start making the gans of the herbs and foods and we don't eat anymore. But in that process you hurted, you destroyed. This way you don't. This way you carry the emotion and the beauty of the plant in the gans. When you eat it, when you drink it, you see, you feel the pleasure of what the plant wanted to give you without you damaging it. This is the beauty of the knowledge in the space. We don't need to consume. We receive what we need from the one being, the entity, the leaf, the fish, whatever we need, we can enjoy and admire its beauty. But we receive what he doesn't need as food, as energy to us, and he gets a part of us which he needs. There is a lot of discussion now with this technology that we don't eat animals anymore. It's going to be many of them. They're going to, of course, let it be. If they have to be and they accommodate each other, and with you watering the oceans of the world with the gans of CO2 and zinc oxide, they find their accommodation. There is nothing wrong with it. They make the thing to become look so horrible that you say, I don't want to. It has to be only 500 million people, the rest we have to kill. Go and read when Christopher Columbus and the first pioneers went to America. When they got kilometers and kilometers before the shore, they could not row anymore. The oceans were full, gelled with the fish, because nobody was fishing on that side. They accommodated each other. They all were there If they cannot produce, there is not, they don't produce. But the size, the shape, everything is dictated on a natural basis of, I have no fear. If they accommodate me, this is how many of us going to be. If we can elevate to the point that, as I've seen a beautiful guy from China, he does all the translation of the Keshe Foundations. He doesn't eat food for months, but he consumes energy of the fruit that is made in the gans matter. This is the next step. This is what we have to understand. What it does. What happened to the gas we made. What does it do? You call the new gas water, liquid plasma water, as the new filters. But filters of magnetic gravitational field strength of the plasma. Because the water goes in as a matter state, but because it's in the environment of the gas of the plasma of the entity of zinc, copper, CO2 or whatever, now it changes its condition to a plasmatic condition. You are doing exactly what you do with eating. By eating, you take a mineral, but once it enters the liquid of the water of the stomach, in the acidic or alkalineness of the body, then what does it do? It releases its energy, or it absorbs energy. Something that the world of science has not even understood in the human structure. Is very simple. The stomach of the man is acidic, which means it opens up for the energy. Your intestines are all alkaline, because it means what is not needed by the body and the food you've eaten is taken back out. This is the reality of the creation. We don't understand it. We say, oh, we eat the food. We eat the food, we put it in our stomach. We make it in such a huge open condition of acidic, which means giving whatever you do, you have. And then we put it into our stomach, into intestine. And then what happens is alkalineness. Even still there, it has to have certain acidic, that alkalineness of the food, what is in the body, has to come in. What has been used and is not needed has to come back into the intestine to be get rid of. But the position and the layering of the stomach of the man and the lymph allows dual character, a barrier. Over this I don't need, under this I don't need, I need only in that bracket. I go to a specific place, is airport to central city, and I don't want to stop anywhere else. My Gans limit of my lymph is for the cell in the center of the heart, in that point. So whoever has any food for me, energy for me, I take and I go where I have to deliver. Even though part of the energy, as the Gans inside the stomach, once it's become acidic, has already reached the cell itself. Because it has released its field energy strength. We have now to understand and not only re-examine, but redefine many things that we done in the matter state, in the plasmatic state. And then you understand, none of us is wrong. No knowledge of the past is wrong. Up to now we understood everything in the matter state. Now we have understand, we have to understand, we have understood, and we can add to the knowledge that there is a step after the matter state, which is the plasma, which is the going back to the origin of the creation, which is the interaction of dynamic fields within the structure of any entity. The wood you touch on your table has life, is alive, because the atoms inside it have electrons and protons which are dynamic as they are in the cell in the heart of the man. Exactly the same as they are in your brain, and exactly the same as they are in the blood. Just because you touch a solid does not mean nothing moves. There is more life, motion, what I call energy in the table you write on, most probably than is in your body. Because everything has a dynamic motion. Everything is in dynamic motion and carries energy, otherwise it's not dynamic. And when you're not dynamic in the world of physics as energy, you don't exist, there is no feeling. This is what we need to understand. This is what we need to explain, that those who accuse Keshe Foundation of practicing medicine is that actually we have brought a new knowledge of the motion of filtering of the essence of the creation. What happens exactly as it happens in the womb of the mother. We allow energy, and what is needed is absorbed by the fetus, and it becomes a humanity, it becomes life. As I say, if I'm wrong in creating Gans waters, so is my mother and the mother of all of us, which created the same condition that gave life to us. It's very hard for a lot of people to understand. But when you explain to them, they know they do not know what to do. Because now they have to admit that there is the next step in understanding of the man. And all of you are not nuclear physicists. All of you are not chemists. And most of you are simple people who want to help humanity and yourself, but you want to use the knowledge. Part of it you understand, part of it you follow because you understand, you believe is correct. Now you understand why you are correct. Now you understand the reason, you can explain it. But when you explain it, try to enjoy it. That the pleasure of joy goes through the word of the man. I had a beautiful pleasure in past 48 hours to be in Istanbul with the Keshe Foundation supporters, and it was amazing to see. There were 2 men and the rest women. There were 2 men and the rest were women. And it shocked me. I stood there, I looked, and I said, I'm reaching the female more than I'm reaching the men. Because women are givers and there to help. And then the strangest thing was, a woman goes in her handbag and it comes out with a coil, double coil winding. Better I've seen the man making it. And she gives me a bag with so many different windings of different coppers on it. And I said, I have served my purpose. I reached the woman who's the creator of life. I have reached the essence of creation, because she'll teach this to her daughter, to her child, and then the knowledge of man has grown. As I've said many times, Blessed Baha'u'llah in his writing says, if you have financial capability to teach one of your children, one is boy and one is girl, teach the girl, because she's the future. She teaches the children and becomes the knowledge of humanity. Because children learn from the mother. When I sat on the table in Istanbul with the Keshe Foundation supporters, I came off the table a different man, because I understood I've reached the essence of the creation of humanity, which is the mother. She gave me a bag freely to give it to the new Keshe Foundation people who understand. But with it, she gave me a gift. Knowledge is received by the mother. This is why it's important to explain more, that all of us understand. Especially the mothers, the women who understand and share the knowledge. Men are many times more arrogant, and when they teach has to be. The mothers are flexible. The teaching, they bring love and care. That can be understood. Try to understand the essence. Try, and it's the job of teachers like us, who understand a little bit more in a different way, to explain more, that the men of the street come to understand the beauty of the knowledge. I had a talk with the Earth Council in past few days. We see huge crisis. We diverted the problem from China and North Korea, and now they found their way into the Middle East. I said to the Earth Council, you are the leaders of the sections of the parts of this planet, and the leaders of the world who are making this mayhem now in Middle East between Iran and the Islamic world are putting Muslims against each other, and they don't see it. They went for the communists, putting North Korea against China. Now the same pattern of work is coming, putting Muslim against each other. They established the terrorist organization of ISIS in Israel, and now they blame Iran that they are the feeders of it. Very easy. And then the others accept like a lamb into the slaughterhouse. How many more people's souls we have to see to suffer in Iran and the rest of the Middle East? Because the masterminds have played the game of the magic. Now I give you another magic. I asked the Earth Council to use the power they have, because now these world leaders, so-called, they are the subject to them. They are responsibility of the Earth Council to correct their souls. But the problem is not only that, is now is us who see the problem to support the Earth Council. Give from your soul, understand, from there to give to the soul of the world leaders who have set up this murder plan. We saw Christians fighting each other in crusades, and now they have brought this new cycle. Israel financing ISIS to establish it, now blaming each other to do it, to go through the back door, to put Muslims against each other. Voila, that's all it is. I said we've taken the love from the blood of Moses, and they deserve it. There shall be no blessing for the tribe of Moses. They've done nothing but war and killing the way their master did. We finished with the religion of Judaism because of this mayhem which they've created. The same has come with Christianity. And the same with the Muslim, with Muhammad. Because they have harmed the soul of the man. This war set up by the Jews, financed by the Vatican, and then carried out by the Muslims to kill each other, is hurting many souls. Children will have no father, mothers will have no fathers, husbands to feed their children, and the fathers are going to lose their child. It's the responsibility of the Keshe Foundation supporters to give from your soul, to elevate the soul of the world leaders who have set this up. You do not understand what is said. You follow my work, you follow my words, you make the ganses. Now it's time to understand, give from your soul, that we stop the mayhem. It's within our power to support through the Earth Council members to elevate the soul of their subjects, which are the world leaders. The Earth Councils responsible for each continent are responsible for the soul of the leaders of that continent, plus their citizens. And now they need us to support that they can reach enough to elevate the soul. This is the way we stop the wars. Not by guns, not by riots, not by going on the street and marching, but silently elevating the soul of the world leaders through our appointed councils. That through their wish, they reach the world leaders. Now for the first time, world leaders have to answer to someone above them. And that's not God, it's another man who understands the pain of the suffering of another man, we call the Earth Council. We haven't made another king, but we have made another man who through his soul can elevate the soul of another man. Like a father to a son. This is what the whole technology is. Now we see a new mayhem set up. Very fast, diverted. Just because their hand opened up against Chinese, communists again communists, now they put Muslims. Shall I wish it for the Christians in Europe that start eating each other? And my wish is my command. Shall I punish? Or we have to forgive and give, that elevates their soul. Otherwise we are back in the same pot. You understand now, the same as what I said in Holland, they use the gans of the mushroom to elevate the physicality, to be happy and detached from physicality. Now it's time to turn on your ganses in the dynamic cores with the zinc only, and elevate the soul of the man across this planet and let it run. You all have the tools of peace in your hand. Buy a ping pong ball and leave it on the rotor of the single rotating computer cooling system. It does the same job. It links up. We have to take charge of the world peace, not by talk. We have the tool by action. As I said, knowledge in exchange for peace. There is enough of us at Keshe Foundation, and all of us can afford $5 or $6 to buy a ping pong ball, as many as you like, fill it up with zinc oxide, pure zinc oxide, nothing else, with a little bit of CO2 in it, because you reach the soul of the man and run across the planet. We dictate the terms from now on, not the World Bank and the finances of Vatican to make more guns. Go back to my teachings some 2 years ago, when I used to teach from the Sansana. If you go back and find it, you will understand something very interesting. When we were in the Sansano, I had a visit from a very influential person who was approached by one of the top directors of the most, what I call, horrendous factory producing most of the guns in Europe, in Brescia, which was just part of us, not very far, maybe 50 kilometers from us. The biggest gun manufacturer in the world is in Brescia. So, knowing my intention, and we had a peace conference in Italy, and they knew I'm there, they didn't want to be known as who they are. They went to one of our closest associates, members of the Keshe Foundation, and in a different form, they said they have received the biggest order ever since World War II for making guns. And they don't know why it's going to be used for. They have to do it because it's a job, but they fear what it's going to do. Paid by Vatican and Rothschild. That's 3 years ago. Now they tried for those guns to be used in such a mass number. Was only China could do that. They only could use it in China by spreading so much gun across China that they would have created the mayhem they wanted to earn more money in different ways. We stopped it. Within 3 weeks now they changed the position, but you have to tell you this was planned years ago. That was a second plan in 6 years time after they finished with China. Now they go for the Muslims. They brought the program forward, the guns, which was such a huge number. Nobody knew why, because there's 1.7 billion Chinese, 10,000 is nothing. You have to produce 3 million that you can make it in such population. Now it's diverted to be used in the Middle East by Muslims against each other. That's all it is. Guns are produced, has to be used, because then the factory can't sell anymore. You as Keshe Foundations have the bullets to these guns, and it's the gans of CO2 and zinc oxide. Run crazy with it. You will understand. Magnetic fields of the same reach the same. From South America to North America to Europe to Asia to China to Australia, anywhere in the world, you have produced CO2 and zinc oxide in copper, in the zinc and copper plates. you start linking up. Elevate the soul of the man to stop this mayhem. We cannot do anything but use what we have. We reach the soul of the man who's going to use the trigger. When his soul is elevated, there's no use what is there. Reach the soul of the Earth Council, that through them, as the heads of the world leaders, they can reach the soul of world leaders, that they walk into them and they ask for a change. This is how we don't fight, but we elevate. As many of you know, as Mr. DL has put in, they're trying to accuse us of doing this and that, and we have asked the court of Belgium as a witness to call in the king and ex-king of Belgium to court for evidence that they've been involved in damaging the Keshe Foundation. We have so much power that we have asked for a judge to ask the king to appear on the court of man, as they set up the murder of the man. In the next few days, we'll see what's the response of the judge in the court of Belgium. As their servant, Mr. DL, has done their work. You have to understand, only one pattern has ever been accepted, and even there is a question mark in that, from DL, the biggest pattern writer, the fake pattern writer. None of his patterns has ever been approved. Because he works, he writes, double writes patterns, the one which approved goes to the government. The other ones, it stays out, and it's just fake. And these are the people they put in operation. This is what we do. We have asked for a king and his son, ex-king, and the son, to appear as a witness in the court, because they are part of the structure of the damaging foundation. But they've done a lot of good for us. They have allowed, by their opposition, instead of being localized to one nation to make more tools of war, the Keshe Foundation has become peace of tool in the world. We've become part of, but not with guns, but with the knowledge. Knowledge in exchange for peace. The knowledge that we can create peace through the transition of the ganses of the matters which makes the body of the man, which affects the emotion of the man, which is magnetic gravitational field base. Make gans of zinc oxide, and when you make it, give it all you have, the peace, the comfort, the love of the man, and that gans will reach every nation, every man, when all of you run your reactors around the world. They create bullets, we create balls of gans. They fire it to go with a high speed, we rotate it at the high speed they can reach. We don't kill, we promote. They have to pay for their guilt. We take from the pleasure of the peace. We publish in the next few days our entry in the court of Belgium. How they have managed to fake everything, threaten everybody, and then they send the servant to the court to ask for €1 damage. And the judge said, Mr. DL, get lost. And then they don't get it, they go and publish it. Yes, there is a case, we've been fighting it for over a few months, and now we ask the court, the only witness is we can prove how the king and his son have been involved in destroying the Keshe Foundation, because we submitted the evidence. Let's see what the court does. It's not that we deal or be a scam or fraud, because beauty of it is, Mr. DL has written a beautiful contract for the Keshe Foundation with the volunteers, which has been examined by all the legal frames of the governments within EU, and they couldn't touch it. He's written the most perfect contract for the foundation to be able to spread the knowledge and people to be used and be able not to be used by those who want to damage. Be used to be servant to the education of the man, and not be servant to those who have damaged it. And now The beauty of it is, the contract, which is written, the agreement, is going to help a lot of people. Because now the knowledge is out, and because of the way they plan to hold the Keshe Foundation to ransom, we have asked for a king to appear. The ordinary scientist asking for a king of a nation to appear as a criminal. Let's see what they do. We release our defense in full. It's strange enough, in doing what we've done, in processing the knowledge, we have found the signature of Mr. DL on documents which he says, I received all the knowledge from Mr. Keshe. Everything which we have taught was given to him, that he claims he's the man behind it, he has signed that he's received it. And it's in the court evidence. This is the beauty of it, claiming and the knowing that the guy never understood. At the same time, he has a 20-year non-disclosure, which is signed with the Keshe Foundation and me personally, which is on the breach of, that is a huge criminal offense. Breach of confidentiality. That he's published so much of the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation and his books on the internet and everything else against what he has signed for. Because these people are the way they are. You'll be shocked when you see what they claim that they have done. They see they have received exactly, and they signed for it. It's 3-4 pages, line by line, what has been received. Then you understand the liars and the cheaters. All the documents of the British government has been released in signing. We never published when we said that we were negotiating with the Minister of Defense of England before the Belgium cheated. And now we have released that document to the court and we release it to the public. With it goes our peace and our heart. With it goes in the documents that Berhard has accepted in line, and everything they've accepted, the same with IMEC, the same with everybody else. All the documents now are submitted to show it's a pattern. The same people behind all the organization. Gang of thugs and thieves. How do we punish them? Elevating their souls. I elevate the soul of Mr. Hans Brackenier, that he walks in and he confesses to what he's done, because the rest is going to be there. On Monday morning you can go to the court in Kortrijk, the way Mr. DL was told to come by his corporate, Mr. Martin, what we call the police officer, to be there because we're going to get cash. But they walked in and they were told to get lost. Because now they never told the judge that they are involved and they are mentioned and they're under investigation, Mr. Delanois, in Italy by the police of Italy. How can a policeman in Belgium be the investigator and writing a report for a case that he is trying to kill in Italy without telling the judge that I'm on the investigation for the murder of the same man and a woman that now I'm trying to investigate? Criminal offense of the first order, minimum imprisonment 25 years. We release this in the next 48 hours across the internet. Mr. DL thought was very clever, releasing the first pages of that. We are accused of, what is it, scam and fraud, where everything has been written, that everything is by agreement, and then anybody who was unhappy has been repaid by the Keshe Foundation through bank accounts. The people are delivering the evidences to the court that Mr. DL and Mr. Delanois have lied, and they never said, both Mr. DL, when he went to the court asking for €1, that my name is on the papers of Italian police as a corporate collaborator in the murder of Mr. Keshe and his wife. We release it, go to court in Belgium, in Kortrijk on Monday morning, and stand there and say to the judge, we want to know who's the investigating police. How come the investigating police is on the investigation of murder of the same man he's investigating, and he's tampered with all the information. They call it conflict of interest and perjury. And because Mr. DL has entered in the court asking for €1, he's convicted himself as a perjury, because he is in the file of the police of Italy for attempted murder of Mr. Keshe and Mrs. Keshe, and directly involved in the murder of Fabio. We need it. People make their own mistakes, and we give them with the blessing of heart. Because it's registered that he asked for €1, now, as a witness, it means he's been there to create false information. Has convicted himself. If you're a Belgian and you supported us, go to the court of Belgium Monday morning in Kortrijk and stand there and ask who is the investigator of the police who's made these false allegations and documents. It'll be Delano. We send you, we release the papers from the police of Italy that there are the investigation, and tell them this guy's done, that's what it is. We work as a team. You enjoy my knowledge to help yourself, now you have to enjoy helping yourself, because if they go to the next step, they do whatever they like. We kept silent. For months we worked. You saw me past week and a half going from Accra into Europe to gather all the information and all the documents. That's why I explained to my knowledge seekers, to Mojans, I have to go. It was to protect the foundation. I did not go for holiday. It was a week of work, nearly 500 pages of documents to be done. Please, those of you who claimed you are a follower of the Keshe Foundation, go to the court and stand to the judge. Because who's the investigator? A man who's accused and is involved in the murder of the scientists, both in Belgium and everywhere else. We have police documents we given to the court, has written a report. And he gets his clown to go to the court and say, I want €1 damages because I'm the murderer myself. I poisoned Mr. Keshe in the restaurant, and I poisoned Mr. Keshe again in Italy, and I called the doctor, say, I know how he was poisoned. How did you know he's poisoned when you're 10,000, God knows, meters away in another country? What do? Shall we punish or shall we elevate? But they walked in. We needed to show the collaboration between Delano and Dirk, and now he's done it. The stupid man walks in the court and claims €1. He's registered in the court. First of all, nobody knew about the case. Secondly, DL and Delano both are mentioned on the police. They are under investigation for them. They are prime suspects, and they are the people who are organized everything. Very interesting, isn't it? Because we keep on giving them the love and they make the mistakes themselves. How many times I told you I elevate the soul of my enemies, because in that way they make their own mistakes. I don't need to do anything. All the evidence has been put on facts about Keshe, and all the victims of the Keshe, which are, it's all your Facebook names. Anybody you've seen anywhere Keshe, they found a Facebook, and because even my wife Caroline became a victim of Keshe, because they were in such a hurry to build up. Because in one of my interviews I said there are only 4 or 5 victims. They thought now we build the numbers up. Deception is a characteristic of the weak man, and that's what they do. We elevate their souls. The biggest mistake Dirk made was walking in that court and asking for €1 that is now, it wasn't a public. How can you go in there and only man claim €1? And then your name is the same as your partner in the criminal court in Italy. Dirk is directly mentioned in the investigation with the murder of Fabio. And the attempted poisoning in Italy. I don't go and fight. I push them, they do their job, and I praise their soul. I give the soul takes them to the slaughterhouse. We didn't say anything. We kept very quiet because we protect the Keshe Foundation with our lives. Carol and I, we have devoted our lives to the foundation. We have devoted our lives to peace on this planet. And so many of you the same. You see me going out a specific time because we need information. We know where to push, what we get. We push, we get what we need. Now, I didn't do anything. I told you many times, listen to my teaching in the past few weeks. I said, I praise, I give to the soul of my enemies. And what did I do? The man gets up and he goes to the court and he says, I want €1. It has to be registered that is involved in criminality. And now for that claim, which is registered in the court, and the same man is connected to the murder of Fabio, and he's on the investigation, they've tried to link themselves. We didn't do when we said nobody knew. Now they have registered themselves. It comes from elevating the souls that they make the mistakes. We've been told there is a consideration, they might pack up and clean up and take the Keshe Foundation, facts about Keshe and victim of Keshe down. Please do not take it down, Mr. Dirk. These are the evidences we need and the humanity will have to see how a lower level soul operates. We will announce in the next few weeks, maybe next 2 or 3 weeks, 3 nations in Africa will come into the rank of the spaceship program. We have meetings with the people, the ambassadors and the people who are involved, and the finances for it will come. We saw the beauty of how the finance was raised for the Ghana. The finances for it will come. The African nations are not going to build the spaceship labs out of nowhere. They come from the support of their own nation. We support them. But now there is possibly up to 5, but 3 definitely. African nations are passing the world, the Europeans and the rest, in the space knowledge, in the plasma technology. I have given my word and commitment to 2 further nations in past 7 days. I have met with their ambassadors. And we have given, and we are in a step to do it. We will see a spaceship labs across Africa in so rapid way. And it comes from the pleasure of all of us which are giving. Don't forget when I explained, we give from our soul to the man in Amazon. We elevate the soul of the whole of Africa too, with the knowledge they didn't have. They don't need to go across the waters to die hundreds in a boat. They create a ship in their own countries that becomes a boat across the universe. It's my pleasure to serve humanity, especially in Africa. Man has devastated this continent. Man has destroyed this continent. Man has abused the man of this continent for long enough. Now the world scientists will come to beg from the scientists of Africa to feed us, to teach us, to let us be with you. And this is the kindness of the continent, which has stood so much abuse and it still bleeds back on the arm of the abusers, that he puts them to shame. What you do in trying to create servings, stopping this mayhem of the war set up by the Jews and the Christians in Vatican and then blood in Tel Aviv, will come to an end if you use the knowledge. I wrote yesterday to a close friend of mine, a very simple, a very, very simple word. That the wisdom of the man, this is the beauty of it. Being wise does not need fighting, knowing the weakness and the greed of his opponent. And this is what is needed. This is what we need. We need to elevate the soul of our opponent, that they themselves understand their own mistakes. The understanding is not the pain. And as going to understand more is the problem. I wrote to him, he's a dear friend. I said, it's the job of a man to elevate the soul of another. Then this way, both find peace and accommodation for each other's need. Show them kindness and love, and show them where they did wrong. and they'll be ashamed, but show then what they lost too, which is they did not receive the love because they took more than it comes. I said, wisdom comes from inner strength and not from short walks of life. You are a wise man, and you are correct. Give from your soul, not only to the humanity, but to those who we have accepted as the leaders of the continents. All of them need, as the world leaders of that continent, are their subjects, as is they are obedient through their souls to the Earth Council members of that continent. And now the problem is so vast that people of one continent are causing problem in another continent. So it means the members of the Earth Councils of each continent have to work together, that they elevate the ones who are causing wars in one, but are based somewhere else. This brings unity across the planet. This is not the damage. This is an exercise for our present and the new members of the Council to understand their responsibility, to understand the gravity of what they are involved in. I asked them for an emergency meeting a few days ago. And in that meeting, I explained very simply, I can come and interfere, but it would not be right. I stay out. It's for them as the new heads of the councils of their continent to learn the child's play, which is done by the children of their continent, and how they played across each other. And not by anything else, but by elevating the soul of the present world leaders. Those who got fooled, and those who make them fool. This is the beauty of the new knowledge. And then we are nothing but the foot soldiers of the soul of the humanity and the race of the planet. We are know where to go and what to find to do it. It's our job through it to elevate the soul of the world leaders, to elevate the soul of the rest of humanity, the fish, the tree, that we find peace across this planet. Nobody needs to kill no one to control the numbers. We give peace that if there is so many of us, we find bigger space, what we call the universe, for us, that we are all more accommodated. British did a beautiful survey a few years ago. They, at that time, they said, if you stand every man next to each other by the size of their foot, by the measure of their foot next to each other, Isle of Wight is enough for the whole humanity, which is a small island in England. Now you see the whole of continent is free. How is going to be shortage in this beautiful, wonderful planet? Use the knowledge to bring peace, but understand, you make the Gans, you put your wish of peace, elevation of the souls of the world leaders, and it'll be achieved. I hope no guns shall be fired. And if it does, it's the soul of the Pope has to pay for it. The Jewish rabbis and the Islamic world leaders. Don't think that the Iranians are innocent. No way. They are part of instigating the aggression. The same as the rest of the Jews and the Christians and the Muslims in the Middle East. It's become a child play to see how many more people we can hurt, that we are more powerful. When I went to Iran, exactly 8 years ago this week, 9 years ago this week, I saw the power play Ahmadinejad was playing with my technology. I asked him to sign a peace agreement with me, and it's registered in Iranian structure, in the government offices, that he has signed himself to peace. And because of it, up to now, my technology has not been wrong, has not been abused. Because I got the nation to sign for peace. I'm the only scientist who has signed individually with a nation to enter peace. It's in documents registered in the Iranian government. We all have the same power. I'll give you one piece of knowledge. It says in the writing of Baha'u'llah, as I said before, the knowledge of the man of today is equal to level of the Prophet of the past. Let me be the past. You have to understand. Peace worth sacrificing a life for. But with the knowledge we have, there is no need for sacrificing. Because we can freely give from our soul that elevates the other, that no one gets harmed. Keshe Foundation technology is a technology of peace. Not only on this planet, but across the universe. Because you understand the essence of creation. And I've given you the gift of my soul. It's you who have to find the knowledge from now on. And use it for peace across the universe, not only on this planet, but start exercising it. At least you cannot solve an equation if you haven't understood it, and you haven't done the basics, and you haven't done some tests that you know how it works. Test it on humanity, the love of man and the peace of man through the knowledge and the new technology, and then when you're in space, it's very easy. You become the prophets of the universe, and not to temple everywhere you go to make profit somebody else. Understanding the soul of the man is the key to understanding the technology. The physicality was the limitation of this planet. To become man of space, to become motion in one leap, is to understand the operation of the soul of the man. As I teach my motions, very easy. Only thing I'm doing in the teaching, there are no screws, no reactors. I teach for the man to find his soul, to understand the strength of his soul, to understand his soul is the creator of everything. Then the man becomes emotion. I explain to them why I chose motion. Motion to me means love. Means detachment. Means giving unconditionally.
Means love in true
Means
sense.
being a brother.
Yes.
And the name of my brother was Motion. He was detached from physicality, and he loved every man on this world. So in a way, when we call each other motions, means we are brothers. We are all one, and we have one destiny. peace, sharing, loving, and being one. When I lost him 8 years ago, I made a man a brother. And that's what you are. Brothers don't fight. Brothers love, care, and protect. And share. We leave this planet as brothers, as one. And that's what it means. As you know, in all my writings, those who love most have appeared in my books. I made Caroline the center of the creation, as Caroline called. And so you see Motion as a brother, as a peacemaker, as a man who everybody else was more important to serve than himself. Try to understand the power of the soul of the man, not the man. Try to understand the essence of the creation, then you shall not be fooled. Try to understand that in so many ways what it means to operate within the structure of the physicality using the soul of the man. Try to understand the only purpose of the creation is to serve another. As it says on the Keshe Foundation website, we are here to serve and not to be served. Because we know when we serve, if we need, we are given and we are served to the love of God. This is what you have to realize, what it means, what it has, and what it's got to do. Go and try to understand and find parallel in the teachings. Find parallel and understand in the world of creation, everything is the same. Find and understand, if you have a ball and you put it's full of material. It's like when the egg and the sperm come together. It's just two matter states. They break each other, they divide. And then when it becomes dynamic, the same as your core, you fill it up with the GANs of copper and zinc, and it's full. When the cells divide and they become full, when the egg and the sperm are interacting and trying to see how they can look after each other, then what happens in your core? They start dynamic, they start rotating, they start moving. When we look at the fetus in the womb of the mother, it's a dynamic, it rotates. And this rotation, what happens in your core? You see suddenly it opens up a gap in between and becomes the principle. The water becomes the transition, and then the matter outside, the gases come together in the outside. It's the same with the womb of the mother when this happens. The entity, the content of the egg and the sperm in becoming dynamic, they create the center gap, what we call the principle. And this is where the soul of the man comes in. Till that point is not created, it's still in condition of the matter plasma condition. But due to its motion and the dynamism, the same as in your core, it creates its own center, the essence, and that becomes the principle you understood in the core rotation, the emptiness, which we call it the center, that everybody gets in position. Now it's the same with the soul of the man. Now that's why you understand when I tell you the soul of the man is in the center of his brain. Now you understand why. There is no difference in the knowledge of the creation. Now practically and physically understand where your soul is. Then, in that way, understand what it's supposed to do. And understand is the strength of the principal matter in your center core, which dictates the thickness of the transition, which is the water, and the layers of the ganses outside, which is the skin of the man. Now you understand how simple it is. And what are we fighting for? For an empty space in the center of a mass, we call it the soul of the man, which is nothing but the center of the energy of the creation of the universe. What have we been fighting for? For nothingness within the nothingness. And then a different strength of it, we have called it pain, pleasure, sex, or whatever you want to call it. We become a slave in feeding it, but we never understood it's been a slave to feed us the world of Creator, which is peace, balance. It is important for all of us to understand how we are created. As it's not a mystery, we can use the knowledge of the creation of ourselves to become the man of the peace of the universe. As we know, from the essence we can give, and from the essence we receive what we need. The soul has no arms to grab, but it has an arm to give, and it has an arm to receive. The more it gives, the more it receives. Understand the total concept, understand the principle, understand the essence of the creation, and if you don't understand it, make a system which replicate. When I've been telling you your soul is in the center of your brain, now see, so simple with a small explanation, you see it. It's not somewhere else, it's within you, because that's where it was created by you. The only thing is, in your space, in the matter of the earth, in the matter of the star, the liquid of life is the universal magnetic field. In the womb of the mother is the liquid of what the embryo is. So the mother is the creator, the same as is the universe, and they replicate the same process. How simple it is. Now you want to go and pray to Vatican, or you want to go and pray to Muhammad. Nothing but fallacies of war and conflict. In so many ways, I was explaining some times ago, a lot of people speak about Da Vinci. But those Italians who know Da Vinci, they know why he became the inventor of so many things. Da Vinci had to live, and with it, he had to please many, many leaders of different sections of the Italian structure of different parts. The ones in Florence or the ones in the other part. And to make one part thinking is more powerful, he made them more powerful, strange weapons of killing. That's all he was. If you look at the history of Da Vinci, he forever created war machines to destroy the physicality. And in so many ways, when he became somebody who wanted to know more about the internal structure of the physicality of the man, that was why he could create more systems to be able to find out what is the most weakness of it, that he can make a weapon for it to destroy it, that he could get more money from his financiers. Very much exactly like DL. Now, you look what it is. You have the opposite. You have the tools of peace. You have the essence of the creation in your hand. Use it, understand its power. You understand that you can know no harms. And understand in how you do it, what condition it creates. Now you become the Christ, the man of peace, to give life for the others to live. Give from your soul, and you find you have served most probably more than the Christ did, because you are of the same level and maybe more. Because now for the first time you understand why you were created, and you're all the same. And when you go into space as motions, as brothers, you find peace, because no brother shall kill no brother. Because when you kill a brother, you have killed yourself. A fool shoots himself in the foot and runs a marathon to it. You got to understand what is the purpose of life. We come from the fields of nothingness. We change in strength. We become entity of matter, and by condition of the entity of matter, in different strength of liquid, we become life. And through it, we be creating nothingness from the same energy that is started from the life from the center of the star. The same thing with the star repeats itself in creation of the earth and the moon, and in the same order, nothingness of the space of universe leads to creation of galaxies and the stars. We come from nothing but the fields dimension of the strength, and we go back to the same. We are a point of transition, and what is the use of when it used to damage another? Maybe you understand why we ask for the demise of the planet, because it creates so much pain. But on the other hand, our decision was right. Let's teach them what they are doing wrong, that we do not need to demise the planet. Let's make man a messenger of peace, as he has experienced enough war and he knows the pain of it. Then he shall not allow no wars nowhere on this universe and beyond. I explained to Dr. Paris, as a member of the Earth Council, you're the best to give to the world leaders within the Middle East, as you have been through the wars as a man of medicine, and you have seen the suffering that the others has given through your hands and your soul. Now the only thing is, you have to change the body to the soul of the leaders of the Middle East and the rest. When you understand, it's very easy. When you don't understand, they can fool you. When you comprehend what you have, and it's the tool of love and peace, man devotes his life to it. I have, and my team has. Every member of the Keshe Foundation, in one way or another, we have devoted our life to serve humanity. Financially we suffer for it as we see its expansion, but we know it's worth it, that it will change very soon the rest what hasn't been changed for thousands of years. Because we teach the knowledge, we facilitate. Be it Ella in the background, be it Stanley, be it Vince, being Rick, Flint, our team in China, our team in Australia, people in Europe, everyone who is in the management of the Keshe Foundation, and the people in the structure of translators, transcribers. We have devoted our life to serve humanity, to bring man to spread the knowledge of peace. We are in a way all messengers of peace, but we use our essence of the matter state to spread and to maintain. We receive a lot of donation from the soul of the Keshe Foundation supporters, and that's what keeps us going. The time of trouble, the time of success, the time of sharing, all shared by us, because you wonder how we work, some of us, most of us, more or less 20 hours a day, because the energy comes from the essence of the creation which you give us. Now you understand where the energy comes from. So put some of this energy which you have more than you give us to the leaders of the world, that we can change the course of the humanity for peace. As some of you know, not last August, the August before, we spoke directly with the people, directly to Mr. Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. I said, I sent a message to the Prime Minister of Israel. We would like to negotiate peace between Iran and Israel because most of your citizens are Iranians too. It took him a week to decide how he's going to answer us. I asked our intermediary, what's the response from Tel Aviv? What is he saying? The answer was very simple. It's recorded somewhere. It's all recorded. You can listen to it once they open the archives of the Keshe Foundation. The message from Mr. Netanyahu to his head of security was, I talk peace to anyone but Meher, because he knows with me there shall be peace. And now I speak to the soul of Mr. Netanyahu. We agreed peace. Physicality has to follow. Or the physicality finds a way not to be there to serve as a Prime Minister. Or, as we've seen with Dirk, he walks into the court and he says, I am one of the criminals. I wanted to register myself with €1. When we said these guys are all the same in the same group, everybody laughed. He's accusing. But how come the boss, Delanois, informs his servant or partner, Dirk, to come in the court, we're going to get him. And the fool walks in and he claims €1. You go in, you don't claim nothing. You come out just to be a witness, but he had to. The soul brought him into the slaughterhouse. Now, the criminals both registered themselves in. And they go and say it is. Of course, we all know, we inform all the world leaders, we talk to the Belgians what they're up to. And they're laughing. Because when the documents came, when everything came, we shared it directly with the European Court of Justice, with the Italian police. And we were so clever that we even gave a copy to the Belgian embassy. The ambassador receives everything we give to our defense. Please, if you are Belgians, pray for the soul of your leader, your king, to walk into the court and end up the kingship in that country. When the king declares himself being part of the gang to kill a scientist and defrauding a scientist, then he's no king, is it? You will see on our defense papers, we have clearly released the pictures of the king intimidating, and we've seen released the documents that it shows Prince Philip was involved directly in transfer of and selling the false documents of what they could not have the key for to the British government. Personally attending Berhout to be involved. These people walk into their own cycle of traps. Now we have asked for a king to appear in front of them and explain why. Let's see if we are correct and we get a king to come to a court. Has not happened before. Maybe it's the end of the kingship. Because if they come in, they have to admit being part of the perjury, criminal act, and it's the job of the members of the Keshe Foundation to go to the court. We have asked, a number are going, but you didn't know. Now you know. You came to Rome to see me when we went to see the Pope. Go to Belgium, wherever you are, and declare your position of we want to see the king here to answer. There is no criminality sharing in knowledge, but they made it look that way and they go and ask for €1 for it. I thank you, Dirk, for going and putting yourself on the slaughter table. That was your job. And you've done it perfectly. Even we didn't come out to say it, you published the paper. So we had to answer. A fool shoots himself in the foot, and you're a fool. But you had to do. You did so many murders and attempted murders, now you had to do it to yourself. Because we raised your soul. Your soul walked you in. Now you understand what I tell you. You elevate the soul will do its job. Please don't stop and don't take the facts about cash off the sea. Write more. Because you literally walk yourself more into deeper pile of it. Try to understand the reality. Try to understand from what you learn from this planet, the weakness of the man, that become your strengths. When you come into space and you see the weaker, don't abuse it, but give it the strength that becomes like you, that nobody else can abuse it. One of the reasons we finish with the tribe of Moses is their own stupidity of doing the thing, not learning. Because when you don't learn, you fail, you have to go. Second World War and the conditions with the Jews created in 1800 and something to buy properties in around Middle East to create the state of the Israel. They were given a chance to bring brotherhood and equality and uniqueness of the mixture of all religions in one place of peace, which was between the Jews, the Christians and the Muslims. And what they didn't understood, they went back to the same old habits when they had a nation and created more war and mayhem. They didn't become with the knowledge they were given the land of peace. They became the creator of war and now extending the rest. For this we have taken the love of God from the tribe of Israel. There shall be no one called Jews in the coming time. And when you want to get someone to be said that they are criminals, the name, the word of criminal will change to a Jew. And no one wants to be called that name. This is my wish and my command, even though I come from that bloodline. The man has to understand the weakness of himself, that he becomes strong by it. And I see the weakness in both sides of the bloodline, one from Muhammad and one from Moses, which within it covers the Christ. And with it, there shall be no religion. Because religion is understanding the operation of the soul of the man. Instead of call it religion, from now on we call it understanding of the soul. That we don't need religion. All we need, we have to understand how the soul manifests itself and operates itself in a given condition and space and time. Though the time does not exist in the universal condition.
Excuse me, Mr. Kesh, we can barely hear you now. Can you adjust your microphone, please?
Can you hear me? Is it better?
I think so. It's humming in the background a bit, and it's just been quiet during the broadcast, a little quieter than usual, so maybe just readjusting.
Yeah,
it'll be
no
okay.
problem.
Thank you.
I have lost my strength in understanding how fools have shot themselves in the foot, and how we can change man from the space of time. That the man becomes wise in manner of peace. I have explained many times, and we try to give examples how you can make matter. More and more people are creating matter. So if it can be done with the hand of the man, so it can be done with the emotion of the man, so it can be done with the soul of the man. Then you can create the screwdriver, the food, and even when you're alone, you remember how a dog felt and looked like. You can create it from the emotion of yourself, that you have a companion. This is the beauty of this knowledge. You don't need to go and beg. You're a creator and you give. And like your father, you create what is loved to be loved. We see the physical harshness of the time. but we shall see the beauty of your what it brings. Suffering should not be the key. Sharing unconditionally has to be the ethos of the man in the space. Then man doesn't become abusers. You got to understand, those of you who become motions of the space, as you understand the totality of the purpose, you become the messengers of the peace of the space. And not many people will reach that level. As being a messenger means unconditional giving, knowing that by giving you have more to give, and by it you receive more, that there is more to share. So not many men of this planet will reach the state of sacrificing, in a way understanding the essence of the creation. Many shall try, but many shall not reach. And in time, some will do as they understand the totality. The essence of the creation is not the physicality of it. It's understanding the emotion of the fields of it and how it operates within the structure of our life. Educate yourself to understand that if you create a gas in one way or another, in that process you shall reach only a few of that strength. Then you understand those of that strength can hear you, can see you, can be part of you. The rest is above and the rest is below. And those are not within the bandwidth of the strength of you. The same as we go back to the beginning of the teaching. The filtering of the water. Different gases create different space gap. With it, they create different energy going through. Whatever is below has to reach it, whatever is too low has to add to, whatever is too high has to give to the ones before. And that's why the gas settles to the bottom. As it goes through, it filters itself, it filters magnetic gravitational field strength. When I explain these to the world scientists, some of them they say, all the education we had was for nothing. But we can use our position to teach more, to understand more in the fields which we have become specialists. From now on, we shall see the world leaders walking the path of the creation of what we call peace in exchange for knowledge. And that comes from you who elevate the soul of the world leaders, not only of the territories, but the scientists and the governors. Because otherwise you have to go one by one. We elevate the soul of the humanity. Please make as much gas of CO2 and zinc oxide, and zinc oxide in so many ways, because it reaches the soul of the plants. As those who attend agricultural teaching, they have proven where it is and what it is. Then you understand we reach the whole of the creation on this planet. Don't forget, life starts with amino acid, which is the essence of the gases of this planet. Any questions?
Good morning, Mr. Keshe.
Azhar, how you jumped in first? I do not know yet.
What
You
happened?
have baffled Rick for months how you managed to be so fast.
Oh,
Would you like to play lottery for us? You win.
oh. Okay,
Or-
Mr. Keshe, I was absent last week. So, if you don't mind, can I ask a question about the soul?
Soul is you. It's
Okay.
essence of your creation.
I mean, there was a couple of things you said that I was thinking about.
Can you speak a bit louder?
Okay, I was thinking about when you said about when we start walking as a baby, we learn how to walk, fall down on the left and right. So as our soul, we have the soul, we have the emotion, we have the physicality, then we have the lung and the heart and the rhythm between the two. And we have to understand that. Then I was thinking, when we're born, you're born, I'm born as a baby, we have a soul. As you described, we don't have any past life, but the soul, the baby carries all the ancestral information. If the grandparents were a doctor or anything, they know the information. But how is the soul of a baby as is born, like when I was born, with the soul I have now is different, because at that point I don't have any opinion. I don't.
Oh yes, you had an opinion. You decided the color of your eyes, you decided the shape of your lips, you decided the shape of your toes, how you're going to attract another man or a woman to admire you.
But as a
You
baby,
look at it, no, no, you have a very clever soul as I've met you. So that time as a child, as a baby, the soul has dictated the physicality. With the knowledge you have gathered over time, now you dictate how you want that soul to manifest itself on addition on top of what you have already has decided to be you. You made yourself a doctor, a dentist, you made yourself a refugee, you made yourself crossing borders, and you added to your life. And that added life, as you give as an egg or as sperm to creation of another life, you looked at the water separation in the bowl and the gases on the edge. But one thing you forgot, when they added in the rotation in dynamic position, their field made that center point. So whatever was in that field is in there, is in that essence of the center, which is the principle. This is what you forget. Your information of everything in the egg and the sperm, in the dynamism of creating the soul, has given not only just the empty gap. That empty gap is the stupidity of what we heard from the scientists who said that the black hole is a thing you eats everything up. It takes everything in, and with the information it gives back, it becomes the physicality of the man. If you compare the black hole with exactly the sphere and the soul of the man, you'll see no difference. So at the point where you were created and you received the soul of a child, that child was more clever than you are now, because he decided your color, your shape, and how you can attract another being that you can produce more. So you share that. As I said, everything has a strength, has a specific gravitational magnetic field. And as we see in the core, how the gases go to the end, is not that they are at the end, they have a connection of line of fields with the center, which is the hollowness, which is the soul. It's you
but
who
Mr.
is in the physical
Mr. Cash,
direction.
yeah, but Mr. Cash, through my life for all these 56 years, either my soul could have been
You
richer.
don't look that old, you look very young.
No, I'm
You look more
56.
like 36 than 56.
Thank you, Mr. Cash. But I was thinking my soul, depending on my conduct from the time I was born until now, could be richer or poorer at this point, isn't it?
No, it's gathered information to a strength of itself, what it likes to
But
carry in the
but
next
but
dimension.
it's still my conduct is important. If I was conducting in a wrong way,
Listen,
like
no, listen, everything you need to shape it. Good, bad, and evil, and pleasures, and the rest of it. Because that is making that center. Our soul is a collection of the emotions of humanity. And in itself, it shows itself in physicality, in what it gives out. And if you're not very careful, you can't control it like almond, you lose your bolt. And then you look, where is the creation? The reality is, what we learn in the time of physical life on this planet adds very little to the essence of the soul, because the soul is already preset from the structure of the past. Your soul is the carrier of your DNA. They come from it. Because the essence of it came from protein, which was the air of this planet. The gaseous part. So what you learn in your physical life, you add a little bit more on the soul. Many times, many people ask me, how come you know so much about medicine? I didn't know how much I know about medicine, but as part of it, as a messenger of the Creator, we know as we become part of the Creator, all the knowledge of the creation. But something came up very recently. my even my father been involved in medicine, and I go back generations and generations of medicine man in Iran. So I knew everything inside. It's come through the genes to me. Even my sister is a dentist. It's part of what we understand. So life for me is easy because it's been come through the essence of their soul to my soul, and for me it's a natural way to do it. My father's generation, they have made life out of being medicine for generation after generation. So I carry that as a normal A to Z in my blood. So it didn't come through the egg, it came through the essence of the totality of what is there. And then we're receiving gift from the Creator as a new soul and dimension, plus what I carry as a soul of me, and adds, and it makes knowledge of medicine so easy to teach. Because it's part of my soul. It's been in the physical dimension and added to it the dimension of the Creator. And it makes it so sweet, and I can talk and teach. So it's not that I carry the genes, I carry the soul of the knowledge, which was added layer by layer over time. Blankets on top of blankets to keep the man warm. Any other question?
Mr. Cash, I have another question.
No, you gotta wait your turn.
Okay.
Yes?
Mr. Cash, okay, I was thinking about this too. I was thinking, am I the one on the driver's seat, or my soul is in the driver's seat? Because if I'm on the driver's seat and then the soul is in the back seat.
You drive your car, but the soul is the driver of you.
But, okay, the soul is driving me, not me driving the soul.
No, you feed the
Because
soul.
if
You're
I
a
was,
servant. Your physicality is a servant to your soul.
So whatever I do in my life, my soul is deciding it. Even if I'm
Partially
talking to
because you don't see it, because you're so naive that you don't see the dimension of physicality. Somebody has to protect you. In a way, if you look at it. You are
so
within, it says, pardon?
Was it my soul that put me in prison?
You had to learn something from it, didn't you? You said it to yourself, to me, and I said, how come the woman doesn't see? Why? You had to learn something from it. From that prison, you have learned the freedom.
Yes, I did learn a lot, so I understand.
Yes. Now you understand.
Thank you.
Physical imprisonment brings a lot of wisdom to the soul of the man. I've been there 11 days. I've been in the hand of the Canadians. When they prison your physicality, the soul is free. You can take everything, but they can't take the soul from you.
Mr. Cash, I was going to just make a comment. There's another question. When you talk about the world and what is everything happening, I can tell you this. As I see in US, my environment, the number of people who don't have higher education, but they live in US, the Middle America. There are a lot of them, and they are using cash technology. And I can tell you this: there was a gentleman calling my office for a month, and he wanted to come from another state to see me. He kept asking me that he has a problem with his teeth. He doesn't want to go to any dentist. He doesn't trust them. But since I'm in plasma technology, he wants to come and see me. But what has happened last week, I saw he has called that he's coming, and he drove 8 hours. And I see 6 people on my chart on my computer, and this gentleman come in. They were beautiful family. They were very young, 4 kids, and the wife was pregnant. Yes.
Yeah, carry on.
And then I was shocked that they drove for 8 hours. And then this gentleman was in plasma technology for a couple of years. And what he did, it was fascinating. He sold his house to buy your generator and bought a smaller house for $12,000. And then he told me that it was a defect in generator. He sent it back, but he was using plasma technology. I mean, they don't have PhDs, but they were using the knowledge. They were making ganses, and I worked on all of them. And it was the children were so beautiful. His kids, they weren't vaccinated. He homeschooled his kids, and the way he was describing his hometown, the whole area, people were involved with the plasma. It was fascinating. And in New York, where I live, most of people who come to me, they are either bankers, doctors, lawyers. And if I talk about plasma technology, they think I'm like some kind of a crazy person. But then I see with the future holds, Mr. Cash. I mean, all these people, one day they're going to be totally surprised. But what's going to happen in U.S. because the Middle America people who have no PhD, they're going to be actually the survivor of whatever is going to happen, and they're going to be the one the elite depends on. That's what I see is going to happen in the future.
Yeah, the problem is that, as I said, we spread very wide. We know from security structure and statistic, Foundation has something like 100 million plus supporters, or people who work or do things around it, or they've been in touch and do. Overall, Keshe Foundation website reaches some 400, 500 million visitors in different shape or form of people who use it. This was done by security analysis to see how far it reached humanity and how far it become influential. In so many ways, people do it because they can afford it, and secondly, they see the result of it. And thirdly is many people in the state, many people in Middle East, many people in Australia. Keshe Foundation is huge in contact in Australia. And one of the beauty of it is all the Iranians around the world somehow, one way or another, are involved in development and work, or are supporters, or do other things with it. The Chinese are the same. They share the knowledge. We see many people. I met a guy in the past few days. He sat in front of me and he said, do you know, Mr. Keshe, I'm selling Gans water at €10 per bottle to doctors. And I make so many 100 bottles. You could never imagine the guy being in these kind of things. A lot of people are making, we saw them in their own conference, the Chinese came with it, it's all on the website. This is why we're trying to teach more that when you do things, you have to be the parameters of the law, that you're correct and you do it. And Keshe Foundation supporters are across there. People are making it at home. They don't go and shout, but they made a pen. They have a toothache, it just goes on it. They have a back pain, it's there. They have a burn, they put their finger in it. It's become part of life. It's become part of the structure of the existence because it's a natural process. This is what we have to teach to our lawmakers. That is not the enemy. It doesn't need legislation because it's legislated in our blood, in the DNA and our RNA. They already decided what they want to take and what not to take. This is what I tell you. If you're a Belgium, you're anywhere near Belgium, get yourself to Kortrijk, to the court before 8:30 Monday morning, and stand there. Says we are part of the Keshe Foundation. We have benefited by it. And let DL walk in and ask for his €1 and tell him you committed yourself to criminality. There are many supporters, people in Nino, all of you who've been touched by the Keshe Foundation in Belgium, walk to your court and ask for your king to come in. Why they have silence? Why they have made the Keshe Foundation a terrorist organization? Because they couldn't steal from the soul of the inventor and the deliverer of the message of the God. This is what it is. You remember on Thursday, exactly June's was it 12th, 13th, exactly 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we asked you and we told you that we're going to Rome to see the Pope, and some of you made the trip from all over to be there. This is a trip you have to make. This is the first time we stand face to face with a man of law, that we are people of knowledge and freedom. Make yourself to Kortrijk. If you can put on the screen the address of the Kortrijk, Caroline has it. Ricky, if you can put it, go there. Monday morning, be there. Because these people have made us that it's one man walking under the staircase doing criminal things and this and that and using magnets. And I said in my defense, Go to CERN, they tell you plasma can only be contained and maintained in a gravitational magnetic field of a magnet. There they use huge multi-billion. I'm a science, I'm the man of the plasma, I'm the creator of the plasma technology the way it is for the humanity. I use a magnet to hold it. And they made it to be criminal that you use a magnet. It shows whatever you do, these criminals work that way. We don't create medicine, we create environmental peace that the body needs, it takes. Please, Rick, if Caroline, can you forward the address to Rick? Put it on the screen. Or I send it to you. Go to the court and stand. It's the first time we stand face to face with a king. It's us who has to change the condition. It's us who has to show there is no criminality, being a man of peace as they made it. And then ask there for arrest of Mr. Lawrence as a murderer of what I call Fabio. He walked in, he participated himself in, he walked himself in to be, and we prayed his soul. Now you understand. This is the beauty of what we need to do. This is the reality of what we need to do. You came to conferences to see, to be with us. Walk into the court and let the peace speak. That they show how much false allegation has been there. You don't need to say, just say we are a member of the Keshe Foundation. We come from all over to be part of it. This is where we have to stand. The stand that we are correct, we are men of peace through our knowledge. And there, give €1 to the court, says we have not come to take, we have to keep the savings share. You can pay for those. This is where it comes with love and care. And Dirk, please write more on the website. You have done us so much favor. I thank you for what you've done. You served us with your agreement. Now you serve us with your writing. The reality is try to understand and try to make the others to understand what it means to share.
Mr. Keshe, I just want to add something to this. I worked on these people for 2 hours, and then since I sensed, I mean, they might not have enough money, I worked for like $4,000 or $5,000, and then when they asked my staff how much to pay, I just said, just charge them $200. And then he gave my staff like 400 because they said we want to pay 400. But then usually when I work on people after like 8-9 hours of work, I go home exhausted. But then working for 2 hours on these people made me so energetic. I mean, they had such a beautiful children. And I asked all the kids, you want to go home with me? They said yes. And because the hotel next door was too expensive for them, it was $600 a night. So we found, because they want to go back, drive 8 hours more, then we found a hotel for them for like $108 a night. So they spend the night there. But otherwise I would have brought them home. But it was interesting how your emotion really gets more filled with joy when you do work for people, not asking for money. It was such a big difference, different night for me.
You know something, Azajan? In these documents, they've written Mr. Keshe has taken money, people who we made systems for, they signed a contract to a scam. And what we said is, if you're a scammer, why are we giving our technology and knowledge so freely? Because they couldn't say to the court that he's opened his patents and is teaching freely the knowledge. So they had to, in a way, pickpocketing, showing one way that they can take the life. And this is the normal with them. When you share, the hands of the thing opens up. In so many ways, we have to go through these phases. When I tell you it's the end of the kingship, because we are part of the instrument of ending of the kingship. It is the beauty of it, that we share unconditionally and receive more. They don't tell the court that Mr. Keshe has opened all his patents, he's teaching freely, he doesn't charge anything, and even the students cannot pay for it, they get it free if they're Belgians and they can't afford €100. because then it shows how the scam, the whole scam is. And they go in there and says, I want €1 damages for me writing the contract myself that I protected the foundation. It's let the people walk. You Keshe Foundation supporters are all over the world, from the villages, from nowhere, and from even the African nations. But it's job to teach. It takes time. You got to realize, as I said many times, Muhammad spread Islam with the sword and killing in a few million. Christ took him 300 years. The foundation, the work of the peace has taken 5 years and reached more men than any of the religions put together. Because we reached the soul. We taught all the soul. Even the man in Amazon has received the message because it's in the level of the soul. Any other question?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Miss
Hello? Can you speak louder? Yes?
I'm Guofeng. I'm come from
Can you
Taiwan.
speak louder? We can't hear you.
Mr. Keshe, can you hear me?
Yes,
Keshe?
now we can. Yes, we can hear you.
My name is Guofeng. I come from Taiwan. And sorry, I'm English not good, so I need to ask my friend to continue my question. Thank you.
Speak the language of your soul. We already hear it.
Mr. Keshe, this is Lucy. So I will try to translate for Gofeng for his question.
Thank you very much, Lucy. Nice to hear from you after a long time.
Yes. Yeah. So can I share the screen, Rick? He has made a presentation for some pictures, and I want to show that.
Do we know what it's about before we go in that process? Because we have. What is it about?
Okay. He has some question, but Guofeng, which question you want to ask first? I believe you don't have much time to ask all the questions.
Chuanggansi first.
Rick, have you received?
Chuanggansi, right?
Yeah, Chuanggansi.
Okay, so he has some, basically has two major questions. One is about the tritium guns, because he made it, but he get something white guns. So he's not sure what is that and what's the problem with his process. And another is about the Magra unit. He connected with electricity drill and found there's a voltage on the drill. It's about 10 volt, and he cannot understand why it's.
Pardon? Can you repeat?
Repeat the second question or the first one?
The first question. What is the first question? We never got the first question right.
Okay, I'm sorry. So so can I share the screen for his picture?
Yes.
Yeah, it's only picture. It's only picture. Yeah.
Okay, you got. I have to stop sharing, huh?
Oh yes, thank you.
Okay, carry on. Can I, while you're trying to share, we need if you can hear me in the background, we need the exact address of the court in Kortrijk, please. This map is not very clear, which we received. We need the exact address of the court of Kortrijk for people to go there that we can put on the screen. Thank you very much. Carry on, please.
Yeah, so can you see this picture?
Yes, this goes back to my Coca-Cola time.
Yes, he tried to use the Coca-Cola bottle to make the tritium guns, but he get something white, white guns. He don't know.
Why?
So
at the bottom?
Yes, at the
outside.
bottom.
Outside.
Inside.
Yeah, this depends what is put in there. This looks still to be caustic in that bottle.
Yeah, he put some caustic and he put brass, iron.
Yeah, but that water is a caustic look. It looks like the bluish color comes from the copper content which is released in there. I don't know why. What is this? A very elaborate. What I did very simple. But what is his mind? What was behind it?
Yeah, I think fewer people can replicate
Yeah,
it
you
this
see,
time.
it says after 20 days. With that after 20 days, you got to realize you have many coppers which are nano-coated. You have coppers and zinc, whatever, nano-coated in different ways. So even though now you're in a caustic water with whatever is put in there, the medium is sodium. So part of this water liquid you see is behaving as a caustic, and part of it is behaving as as what you call the salt water. It's not that it's all caustic. You understand? So it's after 20 days, as the caustic and the operation goes on, you're creating so much gases and so much environment of gases of different plastics and everything. Um, you create partially the what do you call it, the sodium chloride too, because it's in that environment, becomes part of that environment. Because if you notice, when you make caustic water and you put your what you call materials, as we shown before, in a container, after a few hours or days, you start seeing salt gathering around it. So in this process, that salt has become part of the liquid, so the liquid plays dual. It's gravitational and magnetical. In the sodium, oxygen, hydrogen, because of the hydrogen is a, what do you call, a magnetical. So it releases energy. Now that the salt after 20 days has become part of it with the chlor added, it becomes gravitational. So it absorbs what it comes. Part of the salt which is outside now has become part of inside. So the system is working in one way as a acidic, and part of it as alkaline. And what you see at the bottom is most probably a type of gas. You have to do it. As we have received the donation to buy the Raman spectroscopy and the infrared spectroscopy, which is coming in very near future, once the center is established, we do all this analysis for people freely, or if they want, they can donate to the foundation to be done. We have, thanks to the donor, we have received the funds for it, and we have ordered it. It's all going through, but it cannot come until we build a building that we can put it through. And then you see these things can be explained very easily, because you don't look at what's the product only at the bottom. You got to look at the totality of the environment, the salt water, the what it creates. It doesn't say that. That little writing number 20 and days next to it, it explains you. You don't have only caustic in there. You have created a condition that now is partially is alkaline too. So it's obvious you're going to get some gas, because you created the gravitational pull, whatever is there to come in. You have different electrodes, you have plasma inside the water, you have plasma outside, you have nanomaterial hanging outside. This is how it worked. Just because you put a cap on it doesn't mean the process stops. Very soon he most probably has lost the thread on the cap, or the hole at the bottom, or all the seals on the top that's leaking from inside, because they cannot seal it. There's only one way to seal this completely, and it's very difficult, and even that opens up. This is a combined magnetical and gravitational, acidic and alkaline water. The alkaline side is gathering, which is the creation of whatever gas is there, and the alkaline is the other one. Most probably, most probably, what you see the white is a pure CO2, pure CO2, because you have the, because of the caustic condition, the carbon hydrogen change is released from there, so you have the carbon, and because of the water content in the container, it oxidizes. So that bottom one is a pure, specific, is mono. It's not, because the plastic itself is a monocarbon. So you get a pure carbon CO2 of the strength of the plastic. So you can call that, for example, that's the gas of the Coca-Cola bottle plastic. That's all it is.
Okay.
I've seen this many times.
But how can they, because originally they want to make tritium guns.
No, but the gas is produced out of the position. You nano-coat the material. If you put 2 nano-coated copper and zinc, you still get some ganses, huh?
Yeah.
Specifically. So here you have a nano-coated gans of the plastic. You have nano-coated of those copper wires, and now they're interacting. They're pulling magnetic gravitational field of each other, and whatever it comes as a gas that can be or come in touch with the oxygen of the what do you call it, the liquid is oxidized. So you have CO2, most probably because of the availability of, because don't forget, as I said, the red cap you see on the left of the bottle soon is going to drop off. So it means its hydrogen has been released, the chain has broken, and the carbon is available. And when that carbon comes, now you put a magnet here in the bottom of it as a liquid, instead of it's leaking out into space, it's getting absorbed to the bottom as CO2. That's a pure CO2 gas. Very pure, but mono, because the elements of the plastic are mono carbon.
Okay. So, which the color of the tritium guns? It's somebody the color of tritium guns. Somebody show it's a little like purple or blue or some which color?
Doesn't matter. The blue is then it's a copper oxide one. The ones which have separated from the copper side. Everything is, you always get that blue. If you leave it there too long, you will get a lot of blue gas. That jadish blue is the color of copper oxide. It's beautiful. Yeah. So it means the process is very correct. It's creating both gases. The only elements there is a plastic, CH, and a copper at the moment, what we see. Or there could be some metal somewhere there that the field transfer brings it red too. But as you see it, this is what you have. Any other question?
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Mr. Kesh. Hello.
Yes, just 1 second, please. Rick, can you release that address, please? But you have to go directly to the court. We would like, if any of you has time to go to, for the first time, to go to the court of Cortec and be able to, not to share the knowledge with the court, that it's not just one. We try to get you the map. Just go to the Court of Belgium, the Cortrec, they'll tell you where to go. This is what has come to us. You can always call them, they tell you. Go in there and give them your love and care and tell the judge this is nothing but lies. That is not up. And the man came to claim €1 for his lies and murder. Let me see. Yes, that's the courthouse. That's the courthouse here in Cortrec. If you're a Belgian, Dr. Michel and Ninov and all the people who are there, it's time for you to stand for the Belgians that you are doing the right job in sharing knowledge, not to escape from the hand of murderers like Dirk. It's time that we share with love and care. He did not tell no one I'm going to court to get €1, because then he would have come and claimed I've got it. But when he was told to get lost, he didn't mention it. Stand in silence and explain to them this is not this is a scientific, this is an equal sharing of the knowledge. not the criminal hands of a police officer and the rest. And if you have signed a contract for any process with the Keshe Foundation, please take your contract with you. If you receive refunds from the Keshe Foundation for the processes for the medical side, take it with you to give it to the judge. It's your right. Because what they said, they are scamming on their internet, taking people from the money and their properties and their houses. I never owned the house. So how can I steal? Fabrication of truth by thieves of life and physicality. Take your contracts with you. There's hundreds of you in Belgium. Show everything done by the dual consent and understanding that it can help and helps humanity as you sign yourself to it.
Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Okay, share please. Yes, what's the next?
This John
Put
Bliven.
the address exactly where it is that people will know where to go. Highlight the address there, please. Carry on, please.
This John Bliven in Arizona. How are you, Mr.
Hi,
Keshe?
John. How are you?
Oh, fine, thanks.
Thank you very much for last week. I appreciate the 22 hours you spent.
Not
It was
22.
wonderful. Have you heard from the guy?
No, I think you'll hear from him before I will.
Ah, okay, that's good. Thank you very much for your work.
Oh, no problem. I send my soul down there to be with you in support of your efforts. I know the work that you do is good, and I think the world does too. Can I share a screen? I know you got this up. Maybe you can bring this back up in a second. Can I share a screen? I want to just show a picture
Yes.
while I talk.
Yes. We put this address fully at the end of the teaching. Please go to the court because we need to stand for what we stand for, which is peace and unity of mankind. Wow.
Can you see that?
Ah, that's gorgeous.
I shared this with you.
I'm not jealous of you at all because I've got more of them here with Armin. I saw them yesterday.
I know you do. And pretty soon, the good news is that in probably 2 weeks, we'll be selling these on the store. And these will be, I'll say one of the jewels of the foundation, in that when we spin these reactors, we're able to create not just an energy field in the center, but a consciousness field in the center. And we've been practicing with these now. We have a couple of them going in our facility. And let me make sure that my understanding is correct. My feeling is that when we use the hydrogen GaNs and the carbon GaNs, is that we in essence are giving ourselves the ability to create almost anything that we want in that center field, kind of the essence of creation, kind of like our own central sun, not just energy as in the sun giving out, but the ability to create more. Is that a correct understanding?
In a way, yes. If you have, I explained to Armin as well, and as I share with one, shares with everybody else. You've got to realize when we go into the space fuel, we have to. Can I share? Do you have something else to share, or can I teach
No,
a little?
I'll stop sharing.
You got to realize for
I
this.
have one more question after this.
Yes, carry on.
No, go ahead. I'll ask after.
Okay. What you understand is the following, which is much easier to explain, is this, that in the space reactors, how do I clean this out? I forgot what to do. Okay, let's put it in the bin. Clear, okay. If you go back to all the teaching, I've told you deuterium is the backbone of the space technology for deep space travel. The reason for it is very simple. Deuterium is a balancer. You have a hydrogen and you have tritium. For those of you who don't know the difference between what we call common hydrogen, it has one proton and it has one beautiful electron. With the deuterium is, it's 1, and here we have the same 1. Here we have the same 1 electron, and we have 1 electron. With deuterium, we have 1 neutron. With tritium, we have 2 of them. The problem with the present physics and what they call plasma physics and fusion physics is that in so many ways, when you understand this, you understand that you can play the game very simple. And the game, the simplicity of it, is the existence of the 2 neutrons or the single neutron. And if you look at it, this is a complete system. Here is acidic, here is alkaline. Here is acidic because an extra neutron is radiating, is giving. Here is alkaline because this needs to get 1 electron, 1 neutron to become balanced. In the space technology, like the reactors, when you understand the process, when you have deuterium, very simply by addition of the energy of one getting and they're changing to another, you create lift. When you have deuterium, you go to hydrogen. You have to give, you're attracting, you create gravitation. When you go to tritium, the other way. But don't forget, tritium in the gaseous state, in the plasma state, is not radioactive. Radioactivity is a matter state of tritium. Because you're working in a plasma state, you work in non-radioactive. There is never any radiation out of these reactors because one always absorbs the other. And because it's dynamic, it always stays the same. So in the reactors we just seen with John and Arvin has been trying to do is very simple. Put 1 in 1 reactor, put 1 in the middle, and put the other one. You can change very quickly deuterium to alcoholic or acidic. You have the fuel of your creation for a space technology. That's if you are in a physical dimension, you have to have a spaceship. If you are working with emotions and you understand the creation of deuterium, which is a balanced energy transfer, comes from your soul. You can just create any energy ball. Now the knowledge is deep enough in the foundation that those of you who are in advanced understanding of it, with this picture, I have solved all your lift and communication and the rest of it. You don't need so much copper here and so much acid there and so much CH3. Create of the balance, little to give, little to take. It gives you a reactor, lift and motion. And then you have this 18 auxiliary or 180 auxiliary, or in some of the space reactors we see massive number, thousands of them. In that process, one stays more alkaline, one stays alcoholic. And then in that rotation of the boundary, where you put more energy of in alcoholic, alkaline or acidic, dictates the direction of the motion. Very simple. This is the fuel of the space. You can't find copper all the time in the space, but you can find gravitational magnetic field packages which imitate or have energy equal to the proton, electron or neutron, that you can confine them and continuously produce deuterium in this universe. Don't forget the basic element, which is the deuterium, which is the backbone of any universe structure, is different in the strength in different universes. So what is an electron to us at the energy level strength could be a proton level in another universe. But the totality of the balance of the fields of that universe has given a specific position in the unicos.
And by adding carbon, we're able to create with it?
You have to understand the principle. I'm a nuclear physicist. I know exactly how to create both. As I said, I'll never touch. I will not make anymore. I inspire for you to make. You have to understand it. Somebody asked me, there was a question, Caroline said, can you explain to people? We teach, and the beauty of it is each one of us will have a solution. There's nothing wrong with it. You produce deuterium in a condition in somewhere else. Some of you, you can produce it from very easily from aluminium. Some of you produce it from plastic. Some of you can produce it for interaction of different elements. Then you understand, if you look at this picture and you understand what you're creating, what you have in front of you. You have the skin of the spaceship. That's why the color of the spaceships are always silverish gray in this planet. If you look at it, it's the 3 layer of the skin of the man, which gives the physicality of the man. Change the strength in one way or another, you give it the physical structure. For those of you who are interested in the matter state, physical state structure that you feel safe, this is your answer. But this is what I'm trying to push the emotions away from. To be attached to physicality or conformation unless they want. Deuterium is the backbone of the space, deep space. But when you go further in understanding in the future, then you understand you can do the same thing with the electron, which is amazingly, specifically, very tight packed. Then you can travel different spaces of the universe. Because proton and neutrons are, energy-wise, the space gap, are too big. And too cumbersome to create energy from, because they always have to interact with each other. The electron is the absorber of their interactions. Otherwise, they lose everything. One of the reasons we have so many electrons is because of the interaction, the space gap, like the light we have on this planet, from the interaction of the plasma of the Earth and the Sun. There is some of it goes out, which becomes a space dust. The electron is there to collect that the space dust of the specific strength. That's why we have electrons. It's a vacuum cleaner of the interaction of the rubbing of the fields.
So dynamic reactors will have a whole bunch of different uses beyond the space travel.
Of course, you can produce any material.
Yeah. So in talking about other possibilities,
you touch something very important and you're passing it. Can I stop you for a second? When you put the dynamic reactors with deuterium, as you see it here, the interaction of the fields is not just mono; it's a spectrum of them. So if you understood that this is what happens in the universe, the spectrum means gold, means silver, means neutron, means nitrogen, and everything else.
Exactly.
You understand? So it's not that just you create electron, but that electron can be of the property of the hydrogen or whatever. And if you wish it as it is, it'll create the message what you give the strength of, you call it banana or whatever. And the banana appears in front of you. Because in the information of banana, you put the whole emotion and everything in. I'm exhausted today.
So let me take this a little bit farther, or see if my understanding is correct.
Let me share that. You can share. Can I ask? Can you take a picture of this, because this is important for those of you trying to make the space reactors. Carry on.
So one of the things I was thinking with the dynamic reactors is we can almost, or well, in my mind, we can create an artificial intelligence. And
why artificial is real?
Well, it's real intelligence, but in computers they use silicon. And my thinking is that with silicon and the this is me thinking now, if we use the
I love
hemoglobin
you, me thinking.
if we use the emotional hemoglobin with silicone
Okay, can we
that
repeat,
with
please?
amino acids, we can actually create a living artificial intelligence that we can work with. What do you think?
That's exactly what I was going to tell you need to do. But you have to understand that artificial intelligence is only acceptable on this planet because the amino acid in the space will change. In the future, space technology, those who achieve the very edge of knowledge in space, they create a dimension within a specific spectrum of the electromagnetic gravitational field, which means they can exist in any dimension. And that's very, very important for us to understand. That is very important. We have to understand. If we understand that space, then intelligence has no dimension and no physicality. But yes, you can do it. You can create exactly as I was thinking to tell you. You said it means you have matured enough, and that's beautiful the way you work.
Now, if I can just create one to clean my house, I got it made.
You gotta ask what the others' wishes, huh?
Yeah. Okay. I think we got
I always remember our third son. He has a huge sense of humor, and I've said his joke many times about him. It's not a joke; it's a reality. It's what we wish. He wanted a picture of a certain thing to be in his room, and he was sitting on the bed and he was watching it. And I said to him, Rocky, what are you doing sitting there? He says, I'm sitting here, I'm watching it. It's beautiful, isn't it, Papa? I said, yes, but things like this don't belong to you. They belongs to the others. He thought for a few minutes and said, so Papa, we are the others, aren't we? So it depends what we take. So you can imagine what they can make with it. You like to make an intelligent life, they might take, and you want a maid, and they can make any other things from it. Any other question? How far are we in this?
Just over 3 hours at this point.
Okay.
It's 3:11. Or it's 11 minutes after the hour.
There was.
Go ahead.
Sorry, there was one question in the chat room. Somebody was asking how can we deal with parasites, especially in Africa.
Parasites. Good morning, darling. The parasites have a physical dimension of life, which means parasites in a structure are connected to protein and copper, or another element which gives them physicality. The new science, the way we analyze our blood and tissue and say this tissue is made of, or we have this in our hair, the way as Dr. Rodriguez does in his analysis of his medical side, we have to understand the composition of the structure of the parasite. What is his blood made of? What is physical life made of? And then we have to create a condition that is so allows the transformation that this environment is not for you to exist. And they walk away. They would not. We don't create a condition for them to exist. It's not that way. Time of killing is over. We have to extend the knowledge by understanding that what is this guy is made of. We always look to kill it. Now we have to understand the beauty of it, what it's made of, and then we don't want him here. We create a condition that he moves somewhere else, which is outside the condition that he is comfortable with. So there is no parasite. Parasites and all these are created out of the condition which is made available for them to exist. I know somebody else, I received, I think Caroline sent us and I shared it a bit, Rick, which is on the golden age of GANs. Somebody has talked what they did with chickens in Pakistan for trial. If it is correct, they say would you like to read it, Rick? Maybe we can share it, because a lot of research is going around the world with the GANs at the moment.
Read what you
This is what is
sent
called
me.
from Golden Age of GANs. As you know, we support Golden Age of GANs website as part of the foundation. And a lot of you are downloading your testimonials there. I thank him for his support and his collaboration with the foundation.
Okay, I don't have the actual website up right now, but I've got the phrase the paragraph that you sent me, Mr. Kesh. I can read that, which it says.
We don't know who's put it up.
Okay. It says, I send CH3, CO2, CuO GANs to Veterinary Research Center. Is it Ihor in Pakistan? And they make 4 groups of chicks. So 4 groups of chicks. Each group has 6 chicks. So there's 4 groups. Each group has 6 chicks. That means it would be 24 chicks altogether in this research center. They give them plasma water after 15 days. Results were amazing. The first group, with the regular drinking water, the chicks' average weight was 400 grams. The second group, with CO2 water, the average weight was 460 grams. The third group, with CO2 and CH3 water, the weight was 480 grams. And the fourth group, with CO2, CH3, and CuO water, the weight was 462 grams. So just to summarize, we see 15 to 20% average weight gain in these chicks after 15 days.
We have done research. We were talking before this. The foundation would release the papers for the people in agriculture. That, as you know, in farming, there is a big problem with nitrogen. And this is done in collaboration, conjunction for Italians, what you call, in conjunction for the government use and later application of it. And it shows in applying certain way the ganses, the nitrogen level has been reduced up to between 59 and 65 or 69%, which is a huge reduction. It changes a lot of things for the farmers. So this will be extended. We'll share this directly with the governments, because this is paid by the foundation to be done. And it's done by one of the reputable research centers, lab centers in Italy. They have certified their paper. And this is very interesting. So gradually we are structuring something, and these papers gradually has to come to become part of the blueprint. Or we have to be a research paper section in the new website, that people can release these things into there. If you want, people can go and check. It's very much like we do the scientific conferences of the Keshe Foundation. We have to open a website where research papers and the papers done, simple researches, can be released, or we do documentation of it. We understand some of it will be trying to be infiltrated and to be made looking not correct. But overall, the research papers are very good, very interesting. And we'll see how we can develop it. That's very nice. Okay, anything else, or any other question?
Mr. Kesh, I have, I just want to ask for something. I know you're not a part of the Earth Council member, but you're part of the different council member. Can we, as a human, we cannot interfere. We just have to elevate the soul so people can do the right conduct and bring peace to the planet. But can we interfere just a little bit in a good way? Like we can create, this is my wish, that we can create plasma screen in each corner of the universe, And then everything these politicians do, government do, we just see them on the screen instantaneously. Even when they go to toilet, I want to see it. And that way,
We are
you can see. Yes, and because you know what, because all these things with the fake news media, you know what, I don't want to see that, because they created mayhem in Iraq, they destroyed people in Libya, Yemen, and they sit and talk about other people who are innocent, they're terrorists. Why don't we do that? I mean, at least we can
Yeah,
interfere.
but the thing is, people are too busy with their lives, and instead of putting things up, we understand it, we elevate the soul of the man. This is what we got to learn. That's as simple as that. It's very simple. It's not wasting time. This is wasting time.
But Mr. K, so many people, I mean, they're selling 10-year-old girls in Yemen because they don't have any money. I mean, there's so many innocent people are getting destroyed, which is really not.
They are doing what?
Like in Yemen, because they have so much, you know, they destroy so many lives. People don't have any money. They're selling the families, the fathers, they're selling their 10-year-old daughter to older man to marry. And there's so many of them right now because lack of.
Ask people who put so much energy to discredit the Keshe Foundation, Mr. Lorenz, to open a website and put all his effort to put all this on the internet. He will not do it because he gets paid by it. Let these people put the energy to show these things. Stop trying to destroy a foundation that is serving humanity. They are good at it. Instead of spending so much time, let them open the hand of the criminality. They won't do it because they get paid by it. They live by it. The people who are spending so much time discrediting this and that, spend your time in putting what is happening to teach others. But don't forget, only about 20% of the world population, if that, maybe 30% has access to internet. It's the privilege of those who become the abusers, or by abuse they have received as fake privilege. But do it through your soul. You reach every man. There is no computer in the brain of the man in Arizona or in Amazon. We see a lot of changes. We see a lot of new dimensions in teaching. We see new ways, innovations. We see a lot of people are making a slight amount of living comfort out of different applications of the production of the Keshe Foundation technologies for those who are not aware of it or they can't do it. This is a pleasure to see, and there is a lot of things which has taken place in recent time, and it'll increase. It'll increase quite rapidly. If you go to sell products on the Keshe Foundation basis, a pen, a pad, or whatever, please make sure you're covered legally. This is important, that you have something, a license for it, or they can lab test it, that nobody can accuse you of anything, because then it becomes very much people like what we see now. They can abuse it because then they steal it from you and then they start selling it themselves. As I said, it's very interesting. Dirk has not made accusation about the foundation. He makes accusation because now he thinks he'll become the head of the foundation when he puts me in prison. That's all it is. The ego of theft is unlimited. Teach people when you make things. Make material, teach people what you do, and get it to the government, explain to them. There's a guy, it's a beautiful guy in Malta. He is working relentlessly with Keshe Foundation. He goes to the government, he explains everything to them. This is the address of the court. Take with you when you go to the court, take the guns and things. Says this is the cups Mr. Keshe makes now. It's the modern one. Those are too old.
Mr. Keshe, I should mention that I think there was the incorrect courthouse in the earlier picture we showed. This is the latest I have from Stanley, that this is apparently the correct address.
That's it. Yeah. Well, let's go there, ask for a courthouse. Go a bit earlier, they show you. It's a beautiful city. Kortrijk is one of the specialist cities where the court is one of the most beautiful cities in Belgium. It has a sense of life to it. But you got to understand, maybe it feels that way, the city. That's where I fell in love with my wife. So you always remember good things. But remember that you you have to give and to be able to share in essence, and they only can take what they need, no more. And this is no use pushing it because they're not ready for it. Any other question?
Well, we do have a number of other questions, depending on how far you want to go today, Mr. Cash. There's a number of health questions.
Is there a question from Dr. Fashi? Dr. My head is blank. I told you I'm exhausted.
Let's see. Not
Dr. Parvis from Dubai, because I think he had a question. You got to remember something. Dr. Parvis is a member of the Earth Council and he lives in Dubai. The Iranians in this part of the world will suffer heavily if it's not done. He needs a lot of support. That he can, through being the head of where he is, as part of the Earth Council, they need a lot to be able to bring the balance of the peace. They become the pivotal point between the man to understand the mistake of the past.
We have a Parvis here. I'm assuming that's who you're speaking of. Maybe they would like to speak.
Dr. Parvis?
Is it Parvis Rajvan?
Rajvan, yeah, Dr. Parvis Rajvan.
I'll unmute you, Parvis, and see if you can speak there. Go ahead if you can. Hello? Hello? Can you hear us?
He's in the clinic.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay.
He's practicing medicine now.
Good day, Mr. Cash.
Good morning.
It's Jalal. I'm sorry I will not ask you this week. I didn't have time. So I will ask you next week.
No problem.
Thank you.
I was with people who are very much involved in your country in the past few days. And you might see some goods coming from plasma technology in Iraq.
I hope that, and I'm available for anything.
The systems will go into it. Take a few months, but you will see the work of the Keshe Foundation around all the generators in Iraq which produce energy. Addition of it will come through a different organization which are partners with Keshe Foundation.
Are they extended from the ambassador meeting? Because
No,
last time they were in Iraq.
It comes through the pure love of God, that's all.
Okay.
The foundation in Turkey is in the hand of a beautiful man.
Beautiful.
And in that side, you will see the operation, physical operation of the Keshe Foundation work in Iraq very soon.
We hope for whole humanity, Mr. Cash. And this is our...
We suffered enough, you people.
This is him. Yes, yes.
We suffered enough. Let's see where we go. But I know very soon we'll most probably somehow, one way or another, next year or so, we'll touch a lot of lives in a very easy way, especially with the generators you have in Iraq. And we have shared blueprints and they start working on it in the next few weeks, you will see.
And that's all from Keshe family efforts.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Another question.
Mr. Cash, there's some questions in our Q&A here. Dimitri asks, he said, actually got 4 medical questions and a road question. I'm not sure about the first question. How do we process steel phenomenon caused by a mini stroke?
What?
I'm going to have to pass on that question. I'm not sure what is meant by steel phenomenon. Still phenomenon? Maybe means maybe limbs that don't move. Perhaps it means stillness, like absence of motion in a limb, for example. Let's go on to the second one. How do we process arterial
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any members of the Earth Council present that they would like to make any kind of comments or their wish? Any of the members of the Earth Council are present?
If any are an attendee and you'd like to speak, you can put up your hand and I can promote you to a panelist.
Harvis and Rodrigo are online, so they both are there.
One is busy, another thing.
Yes, I'm Rodrigo here.
Here, Your Excellency. Is there any wish you have from the Council?
Well, as a Council, we want to reach, we ask all the people from CAS Foundation and all the people to raise your consciousness and your soul to connect your souls to all of it, to all become one and send all the love in the Middle East and China and Korea and all the countries that are involved in a vast situation that trying to send love to all those people that are creating mayhem in the world, to change for love and unite all the souls of the world. We want peace. We want to change the mind of those people that want to create mayhem. And we ask all of us, all of you, to focus on the souls, to raise that energy of your souls and connect each other and send love to everyone, to every part of the world, and raise that love to everybody. If we work all together, we can change. We as a council representing the souls of the world, we connected to all of you. We are connecting to all of you, and we ask you also to connect each other, to raise that energy and be able to change the course of the earth, to stop the mayhem that's being created by some leaders. So we want to send love to those leaders. We don't want to send any negative thoughts. Just send them love, and that love change their mind to change the course of the world. That's the thought. That is the main thought of the Earth Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. This is the pattern which we see the world leaders talk about killing and destroying, and this is the message from the leaders of the Earth Council.
Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
It's Caroline. Good morning, everybody. I had a request from one of the Universal Council members yesterday in the meeting, and the request was to pray for all the religions to come one, to be able to reach, for them to stop wars, to stop shooting, and to stop causing mayhem. And I tried to explain as a Universal Council member that you should not go to the level of the religions, but that you're more powerful to go and to reaching the souls, that you will achieve much faster peace than when you try to start in every corner on this planet to try to connect with one of the religions, and there are so many, and there are so many subcategories as well. As said, Mr. Kesh mentioned in his presentation last time, that the true souls, the true human beings, which are working and conducting the right expression from the religion, what they understood, and they serve people, we will reach them at the same level. But not to go and try to get in touch with the religions, but to go above and reach the souls that is on a much higher level. Can you explain more about this, please?
What do you want me to explain? You already answered your own question.
Because it's very hard for people to come to understand that they have the power within them to reach above the body, that they can reach the souls, and then they can go much faster through the process of elevation.
You see, the biggest problem is, as I was explaining to our emotions, is that man has never understood that the soul is within him. It is part of him. He always made a mystery of it. So they never realize what they do, what they achieve is partially through the operation of their own work with their own soul. So they can walk their soul into peace if they find a way of it, because they are inside it and it's inside them. We always consider it to be somewhere something called soul, and we have made so much of it. But now, an example as I gave, like the ball, as you see, now you see exactly how your own soul is created. So people have to understand, I am it and it is me. I made the man in the image of myself. The soul which has made the image of it. I want from outside my soul to understand. I change the physicality of outside to a peaceful life.
Is it correct that I suggested that your soul has its own voice within you, but it's hidden within your heart?
The voice is you. The voice is you. The soul doesn't have a voice. The voice of the soul is the man's.
Why don't they trust their own voice?
Because we mix in it the emotion. When we take the barriers of the emotion from the brain of the man, then the man extends his soul to the whole of the universe, which is just and correct. It's us with putting the filtering, we have limited it to the physicality of the man and given certain expense, certain strength, which is the matter state on this planet. Our soul reaches itself beyond, but at this strength, the filters we have put, which is the layers of our brain. I was explaining this in the teaching yesterday. If you look at it in so many ways, our brain cells, the fields come in. I explained this. Let me share this part of it. Can I share, and then you can put this back on again later on. If you look at the creation of the body of the man, I have to clean this up. Okay, if you look at the structure of the brain of the man, let's say, where the soul sits, this gap is closed. It's a very little gap in between. The brain of the man is structured in a way that the soul can always leave. He has always made the escape route for itself. That's no doubt. When you look at the top of the brain, you can see where the space gap is. If you look as the fields of the energy of the universe coming towards the brain of the man, this is, let's say, you have created filters, layers here, that at a given position, a strength at this layer, it's, for example, the strength of the finger of the man by the side of the ear. So when the emotion and that the strength receive the energy through here and breathes back, that goes to the hand and the finger. In so many ways, what we see in the evolution of the development of the man, in the coming time, the neural system will not exist in the body of the man, especially in space, because it's cumbersome and it's not needed. It's too slow. So the emotion of the position as it receives from the soul translates itself directly to its position. The way we lose our tonsils in the future in the spaceman will have no neural system. So what we see, this is not something new. We see this with all the creatures of the advanced creatures of the universe. So what happens if you get this and take a knife and cut a slice across the brain? You feel as you go in, the strength changes. You feel the, what you call the thickness, the softness, the harder it gets, and a point. And this interaction of the reaction with the tissue, it shows filtering. When it's tighter packed, it absorbs the higher emotion, and then has sadness and different strength. Different texture we see in MRI on the body of, on the brain of the man, is the absorption filter of the given strength. At this point, when it comes from the soul, it directly affects, very, very much directly affects the whole operation from the beginning to the end. In a way, when it radiates, the soul, what it absorbs, continuously feels absorbs. What it radiates, when it comes here, it releases the energies are beyond, because then it burns your finger, you have a heart attack. Or you have a hemorrhage with a finger paralyzed. So these layers of thicknesses of the brain are there to absorb most of the energy. Then it is, then when it's absorbed, then you have mesh of the ones which are at given the strength, which are the emotions. And then you have the physicality and the strength, where this can interact with the position of physicality. The filter below this level, anything around here, is the filter of the motion and what you see of the soul communication with the other souls. The body of the man does not take any food from planet Earth, except the fields of it, which has the strength which it needs, which comes through it. It takes most of its energy from its environment, which is then, as I explained, by beating of the heart and the lung, creates the motion of the pumping. It pumps in, pumps out. The heart sets the pumping of the ratio. This is why the way we feel our heartbeat is, we feel it in our physicality, affects our emotion in the brain of us. Because depends how you only see the pumping of the heart and the lung, but in fact the pumping is pumps energy from the environment in and out continuously. Without it, there is no interaction with the environment. And then when you look at the thickness and the slices, get a lamb's brain, get animal brain, which are selling, and you see it in the supermarket, and test it and just try to feel it. They do it in laboratories. They cut the brain, they put in slices on it. It's not all, you feel the thicknesses, and each thickness shows different strength, absorption or release or filtering. This is the beauty of the creation. Now we understand the new dimensions in life. It's us who has now to open the eyes in reality of what it is. So the filter of the emotion in this level for your soul with another sits here, for example. I don't have enough color. Let's see if I can use this section here is the filter of your soul with the matter state of the others you contact with. Then you have the filters of physicality, emotion. And then you have what is the physicality in the dimension of the interaction with the physical body. So while the field goes, it interacts with the soul of the others, which you are a higher order, and then it interacts with the emotion, which is lower. And what is left with the physical dimension, it goes to the physical dimension of the brain after that. And it produces a lot of it. If you had children, and when even an adult happens to you, but we feel it more, we see it very clearly, is when your child goes to sleep, if you watch it or is sleeping next to you, you're holding it, give him love and care, you feel him jerking, it just goes like shocks. And you say, what's happening? If you're not aware of it, it's very simple. The child's brain is very active. Even the physicality is asleep, it's still producing information because of the run he did, games he played, or whatever. But this information still carries on. So much information is carried and is still coming for the soul to exchange the soul information with physicality, that it becomes like epileptic attack. So much energy, so much information is reduced, but some of it hits the physical part of the arm and the leg. So now it has to go. There's so much that the trigger point, at the point of the interaction separation between the physicality and the soul of the man, which sits right in the back of the main brain, which is a switch separating the two, that two cannot have too much communication, otherwise it will be traffic jam. This switch goes on and off because so much information is coming from the soul interaction level, and in little bit of it from the physical part, because children at a young age are extremely more in touch with the soul, so they receive more energy there, which then it converts into the physical part, and then the information has to go somewhere which is stronger feeding the weaker. The soul level in the fingers and the toes of the elements of the body are weaker. So what happens? The soul energy from the physical part of the brain tries to feed it. This is a normal. This is how we transfer energy in our body, information in our body. So now in trying to feed it, there's a huge traffic jam. There's a huge rush. So now the information energy which came from the soul in the level of the soul energy of the communication with others, rubbing, is created from the physical part, emotion, and then from the emotion of interaction of whatever is left over, it cannot leave the boundary of the skull, through the liquid of the brain comes to that point of interaction. Because there is a fundamental understanding, which again, though the medicine doesn't understand, the gravitational magnetic field strength within the brain is totally separate than the rest of the body. So now is so much information by the liquid gathered, it's trying to go to feed the weaker point, but there is a switch traffic amount can go through. So now is that epileptic switching comes that the body shakes till that information is released. Until the balance between the physicality and the soul is not created in the first 10 or 15 minutes of the sleep, then you get children doing it. And my brother-in-law used to say, in the world of medicine, we say if the child does not grow through it, it means there is something mentally wrong with the child, or there is something physically can be wrong. And I asked him to explain. He says very clearly, we understand it, but we don't know why. But the children who go through this process, we do it as adults, it means we produce so much energy at the point of transition from the operation of physicality to the soul. Now I can explain exactly what it means. Is that difference is so much energy that it gets dissipated and you get the epileptic shock. And that's healthy shock, because it means the brain has learned to, and is learning to transfer some of the energy of the interaction of the souls with the physicality into the physical body to educate the rest. There is could be more, and there's more to learn. It's like very much like a hiccup. When a child hiccups is the time when the stomach pulls and it starts like elastic opening up, that it can receive more food, that it can allow the growth. If you don't have that hiccup pull, it does not allow your stomach to grow. Hiccup is the sign of the growth of the stomach, which allows digestion of new materials, new dimensions, that allows a bigger stomach for a child to be able to grow. We get less and less hiccups when we grow up, but at a younger age we do a lot of it. Especially if you look at the infants, they continuously hiccup. Why is they hiccup? Because it's pulling. Till you don't pull a shirt open, you don't have the space to get in it, so it's tied to the body. It's the same process. So when you look at this structure, you learn a lot. Then you understand man is continuously in touch with the soul of the others, but that filtering is not open to the emotion of the man that he can react. And sometimes when the two sit next to side by side, we see that we get access into the work of we get a window into the work of the soul between each other, and we call it a dream. That work is ever going, continuously. But because it's above us, the same as we have gathered to ignore noises in the background of the motorway and everything as we carry on our work, our brain has decided our closed eye to the operation of the soul, because that's too much and it doesn't do much with the physicality. You say sometimes, I was going and it's like somebody pulled me back. The car would have hit me, because the soul is operating and the other soul is aware of it. Says, get the guy back, get the physicality out of the way. And that's what it does. It's your soul which pulls you back because of its awareness of the environment, because it's continuously like a radar works around you. You see, in some cases, people walk into the accident and they walk out of it as they've gone through the system. As they've gone through the car hit them, but nothing happens to them. Because awareness of the existence by the soul of the man increases the level of the physicality to an energy level of itself, that the matter state is irrelevant in going through it. Now you see magic. I can walk, you see it in cameras now that you see a lot of it. Because we were not aware of what happens. Now I can explain it, and all the body does, when you're of the higher order, the matter of the second order, they can go to, because they don't interact with you, they are non-existence. It's your soul which has got to carry on with its job, and it's not time for you to separate from the physicality and the emotion from the body of the man. In that's the time doesn't exist to it. The soul increases the whole level of the emotion of the physicality of the man to a higher order that he can walk through it. In other instance, if it wasn't the time or what was going on, hit you, you die. This is what we have to understand, the essence of the creation. This is how those of you who are of the higher intelligence in the universe, when they come in and they do this, as this physicality of the man is as a weakest order, they can walk through the walls and things, that's all they do. Because of the higher order, everything below to them is non-existence. Because it's lower, it doesn't hurt. It's like blowing through a brick wall. Does not exist. It's very thing, it's just nothing. It's a river flowing. And our soul, being continuously in operation, does this. It's not time to go, I am working. Physicality made a mistake because I was busy somewhere else, keeping it busy. So in that instantaneous of time, it pulls you back. It's literally your body, somebody's hold the soul, pulling you back in it, or raises the level of the energy that the car hitting you does not exist, because it's of the higher order, because it was me. Do not forget, soul never makes a mistake. And if it's responsible for it, it corrects itself, that it does not harm the physicality. I think we call it a day.
I have one more request, please. We are all, or majority, are parents, and I'm calling for everybody to release as much energy and pray for the souls for all the students which are going through a very painful period, to support our children that they can pass their exams with no stress, and that they have the confidence that they can achieve what they have set as their goal for their future. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Yes, we call it a day. We are reaching out for our limit.
Sure,
Thank
that'll
you
be
very
fine.
much.
Well, anybody with questions left over, they can resubmit them next week, and we'll deal with them then.
Thank you very much indeed. Hopefully we achieve something more.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. A lot of information came out this time around. Once again.
Please. Thank you very much. Please, if you are anywhere near Kortrijk or you can be there, allow us to stand that we can stand the pressure of these, what we call false people who they went to celebrate, they came back miserably failed. Go there we know a number of people are going. The more of you go from a different part of the near the area or Holland or France or whatever, go to the court, stand there, we are men of peace and our knowledge for humanity and not what is made to be a fake and backdoor operation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. And just to remind people, I don't have the address up here right now, but it's that the second image that you saw with the court address was correct. The first one earlier in the workshop was not. We're going to change the the video so that that's corrected.
You don't need to change it. Leave it there. If you go to Kortrijk, just ask where is the court. I show it to you. There's no problem. Go there.
Well, there's two different addresses though in two different places, and we gave the wrong address for the first one.
Okay.
It's a different courthouse, so we have to correct that.
Thank you very much indeed. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you for everybody. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you, everybody. Okay, so that's the end of the 175th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, June 8th, 2017. I'll just put the image up here to end the workshop. And as always, thank you everybody for attending, and we'll end the live stream now.